Live from Deathray Studios in the sunny West Valley of Phoenix, it's Late Night with the Davey. Appearing on tonight's show, actor, producer, and overall horror nerd, Damian Maffei. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Davey Deathray. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here, back for another edition of Late Night with the Davey. How are y'all doing on this lovely Wednesday? Man, it's finally gotten to that point where we can open up the windows at about midnight here. So I stay up late every night so I can crack those windows and get some fresh air, because damn, the desert is still friggin' hot. Hopefully I don't look too sweaty or anything like that so far, but love seeing you guys hanging out in the chat and gosh, getting all riled up and ready to go here. Let's say what's up to everyone. And real quick, before I say hello to everyone, we do have a poll. I struggle to think of a poll every time, and then like 80% of the time I forget to even close out the poll when I'm still live with you guys. But the poll tonight is, be honest, did you already eat the bag of candy you bought for the trick-or-treaters? And you can either, you got, yes, I have no shame, which is, that's me, or no, candy is for kids. And, you know, bless you and your lovely heart if you can stay away from the candy, because, you know, there's nerds in there, there's trolley sour worms, there's Starburst. I'm having a tough time, folks. So I need that strength. Give me your strength to not eat the candy. Because right now, 64% of you are saying, no, candy is for kids. So I guess I lose out on that one. But let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. We've got Antonis, Andriotis. What's happening, Antonis? It is Antonis's birthday today. So happy birthday, Mr. Antonis. Man, I would sing the song, but somebody owns the rights, so I'd probably get stricken and the stream would be taken down. It's bizarre that someone owns the rights to happy birthday, but I guess that's the way it is. So what can you do? Thanks for spending your birthday evening here with us tonight, Antonis. Really appreciate you. And we got Adrian James, one of our great channel members, hanging out. How are you doing, Adrian? Hope the week is treating you well so far. We've got Lamontre Gillard hanging out in the chat. Hope everything is going well with you also, Lamontre, and hope work is treating you well. I know you're working in show business. That's really exciting, and I hope the production is going smoothly for everyone over there. And we've got Madison Daniels in the chat. Madison, I think this is your first time, so welcome to the chat. Everybody make Madison feel very welcome hanging out here. You're kicking it with the Death Squad, Madison, so get ready for a rowdy time. We got Robert the Wolfman. One of our great Death Squad mods hanging out here, and a channel member as well. He says, howdy folks, nothing like a little Alaskan assassin before my flight tonight. Yeah, man, I hope you have a great trip out there to New York. I'm jealous of, looks like you're gonna get some rainy weather. And speaking of being an Alaskan assassin, man, I miss the rainy weather, really. I truly do. We got Carly Thompson hanging out with us, says, good evening from the Pacific Northwest. Where are you at, Carly? I lived in Portland for a while. That's actually where my wife and I met. So I got a lot of love for the Pacific Northwest. I mean, I also grew up in Southeast Alaska. So that's part of the PN dubs as well. Really appreciate you kicking it with us tonight. I think this is your first time, so everybody make Carly feel welcome, as Robert is doing right there. We got Raymond Malaber, one of our great channel members, and seemingly hanging out with us all the time. I love having Raymond kicking it in the chat and saying what's up to everyone. This is great. Robert's got a little message about our tonight's guest. He says, I met Damian in the elevator at Mad Monster, Arizona a few years back. I offered to buy him a drink at the bar and he was down, but his wife said he had enough fun for the night. 10 out of 10 interaction. You know, that's one of the best things that your spouse can do for you, or just, you know, your best friend, is be on the lookout and know when you've had enough. I can speak from experience that I have a tough time knowing when I've had enough. So it's always nice to have someone there. That's a great story, Robert. Madison throwing out some birthday love to Antonis. Love to see it. We got Dean Renner in the chat. Welcome, Dean. Hope you're having a great day and that the week is cooking right along for you. Eli Cortez, one of our Death Squad mods, kicking it with us, and a very special, channel member and community member here is Eli. Man, my physical media collection has gone up like 1,000% in coolness just because of Eli and his very, very giving heart. So thank you so much, Eli, and great to see you kicking it with us here tonight. Let's see who else we got. We got Liana Beveridge hanging out. Liana cracks me up all the damn time. I love when Liana's kicking it with us. One of our great channel members as well. Big Rod, another channel member. Welcome to the chat, Big Rod. We got Gory Tiger. What's up, Gory Tiger? Got the zombie, jack-o'-lantern, alien, skull and crossbones. All right, got the whole gamut there. Love seeing that. Let's see who else we got before we really get cooking. We got Necro Mechanimal. How are you doing, Necro? Always a pleasure to see you popping up in here. I hope you've been well. Necro has put together a whole bunch of really fun, like alternate thumbnails and all sorts of stuff like that for many of the shows that we've had going on here. Whenever I do Davey Science Theater 3000, Necro put together those thumbnails and also, the pieces that the background is created out of as well. And Necro, I just shot my Evil Dead franchise ranking today, so I'm looking forward to using that thumbnail you put together for that one as well. Let's see. We got D.A. Mac hanging out, one of our great channel members. Welcome, D.A. So pumped to see you here. Big Rod says, buy candy you don't like. As for me, I love chocolate, so I buy fruity stuff and Smarties because it ain't Halloween without that chalky sugar. Yeah, when I was a kid, man, I loved that Fun Dip because you get to take a chalky piece of sugar and then dip it into sugar and then eat it. And then when you're done with the stick, you just eat that too. It's a total sugar overload, probably what gave me my issue to begin with. So, but that's I'd like that idea, Big Rod. Buy stuff you don't like. Unfortunately for me, sugar and candy are probably my number one vice. Well, maybe cannabis. Moving on. Mud Nelson, we got Gavin hanging out with us tonight. What's happening, Gavin? Love seeing you in the chat. Gavin's been kicking it for a long time on the channel, so always great to see him hanging out. Portland, there you go, Carly. Yeah, every now and then I miss Portland. I mean, obviously there's things about it that you could just leave behind, of course. But man, so much. I love how like relatively small Portland is, that no matter where you are in the city, you can always get to, another neighborhood that's got all the mom and pop like eateries and coffee and bars and all that kind of fun stuff. I think there's a lot of really good like neighborhood culture there in Portland. So certainly something I miss, as well as, being a fan of the cannabis. That is very accessible as well, of course. Let's see here. We got Nicholas McMath. What's happening? Nicholas says, hey, Davey in chat. Sorry I wasn't at last night. I was at a movie, so that's why. Hey, that is awesome. It's great that you're going out there and supporting the industry and watching the films that you want to watch out in the theater. And you can always watch that replay, whenever you want. It's still there. Yeah, guys, last night I kicked off a series called How to Make It Better. We went through the David Gordon Green Halloween 2018, and I just sort of mentioned, I love that movie. I think it's great. One of the best sequels in the franchise. But I went through a couple changes that I would make, knowing what we know after having seen all of the films that DGG did. So that was a lot of fun. Feel free to check that out on the replay. We got Ashton Luck kicking it with us. What's happening, Ashton? Fachi's Cinema. What's happening? My guy, Matt, one of my best buds here on YouTube, and of course, a Death Squad mod. We got Jamie Hart, our original Death Squad mod. What's happening, Jamie? Hope your week is going well, and that your son is, not as sad or dealing with hitting the deer as well as possible. I know that's such a bummer to have your vehicle get damaged. I think about it every day. What would I do if I didn't have my car? That's a real fear right there. Talk about spooky season real life fears there. Let's see here. Who else do we have in the chat? We might be all caught up. I think we are. And it's perfect time, guys, because it is a quarter after the hour. I'm super pumped for tonight's guest, because not only is our guest this evening, an actor and a producer in film, and particularly in horror film, but also just a really big fan. I think our first interaction, honestly, was like last December. I reviewed all the Black Christmas movies on the channel last December. That was when the Davey Deathray channel was just a little baby. I'm talking like maybe I had 250 subs, maybe. And I had posted, just the thumbnail for my Black Christmas 1974 review. And I believe Damian commented on that because he's such a big fan of the original Black Christmas. And so unless he's unsubbed since then, Damian Maffei was in on the ground level of the Davey Deathray channel, which is really cool. A nice little feather in the cap for the channel, I think. I'm proud of it. But yeah, very celebrated actor in horror and a big fan of horror as well. So let's go ahead and waste no more time and bring in tonight's guest, Damian Maffei. How you doing, Damian?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm just sort of, trying to get in the swing of spooky season, but I live in the Phoenix area, so it's incredibly warm still during the day, and trying to, reconcile that with wanting to hunker down and watch a bunch of scary movies and, pretend it's rainy and all that kind of stuff.
It's got very cold here very quickly in New England. So I'm all ready.
You're all ready. Yeah, absolutely. And, I watched a couple interviews just to sort of, make sure I'm not treading too much ground that had been treaded before. But man, I gotta start things off with a little bit of Little Shop of Horrors talk, because I'm a massive fan of that musical, not just like the stage version, but also the Frank Oz directed film. And that was your very first acting role, was voicing Audrey 2 back in high school. Is that right?
Yeah. I was cast in a little part in Annie in 9th grade, but I didn't do it. I chose to keep playing sports instead.
Yeah.
It's too small a part. Come on.
Yeah.
But it was like part of the acting class in school, which is a nonsense class. But as part of it, you have to audition for the school musicals. So the next year was Little Shop, and everyone was telling me, you're going to get The Dentist.
Yeah.
And I was familiar with the movie. I had seen it in the theater. So I auditioned, and I got the voice of the plant. I was like, all right, I'll do this. And I still wasn't on stage. I did the voice from the pit, but all I did was an impression of Levi Stubbs from the movie. But it was a pretty good impression, actually. I seem to recall. But that was a lot of fun. That was my first thing, really.
And then, so how long after that were you really caught the bug, and you were like, was it just sort of, right from there, you're like, ready to go to school and, pick up some acting classes and get going? Or was it, I know you had also mentioned, that your mom was a big fan of film. So did she sort of get you, just into that and into horror, in a bigger way?
Yeah, well, my mother was always watching movies in theater, and I would do that with her. And when I was a kid, I would picture myself, in the movies. Like I put myself into Aliens so many times. But yeah, Little Shop, while it wasn't, acting, it was just really an impression. And I wasn't on stage. Yeah, because I was a really shitty kid. I wasn't doing schoolwork. Everyone thought I was on all the drugs. And then when they found out I wasn't on all the drugs, it made even less sense, because they were like, at least if he was on drugs, this would make sense. So, but then when I was doing Little Shop, when I was doing theater, it was like, oh, he's just artsy. He's just like a psychotic artist.
Yeah.
So, but like, everyone was like championing me and celebrating me and this great voice of the plant stuff. So I wanted more of that. And I loved it. So like right after that, I did play a musical called Once Upon a Mattress, which is the, it's like the Princess and the Pea, but the musical. And then in senior year, I did Fiddler on the Roof, and I was Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, which is, for a 17-year-old, obviously, connecting with a middle-aged poor farmer with 5 daughters, being run
easy
out.
as pie.
Yeah, I can do that. So yeah, and then right after that, I was ready to go. Yeah,
nice. And was this the time in your life where you were playing in a punk rock band, or was that later on in your 20s?
Right after high school, and that was with my friends from high school. They had a band, and then they were kind of having trouble with their lead singer, and they wanted to get rid of him. And I was like, I'll do it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just started doing that. So I was doing musicals and really kind of loud, aggressive punk rock, kind of the same thing. So
hell yeah. So to go from that to, the Man in the Mask in Strangers Pray at Night and the Devil in Haunt, that's a pretty big shift throughout the years there. Was, being in horror film, was that something that you always had your sights set on since you're, a fan of the genre? Or is it, I'd imagine that maybe acting is also just sort of like, it's got to be difficult making, that work, being, a creative minded person. So it's sort of like you take what you can get, or were you sort of, putting it out there of like, I want to be in this genre that I really love?
Well, in high school, we were also making Friday the 13th sequels, with the camcorder, big clunky thing with the tape. And we thought they were brilliant. We thought they were going to be like accepted as like official sequels.
Yeah.
And I was doing them with my friend Brian, who I met in 9th grade. This was 80 years ago. So and I remember I was on the stage and I heard someone talking about Evil Dead, and this was the 90s. So there were you didn't meet horror fans in the world. You were the only horror fan. Like, you didn't know other people that liked horror movies. So to hear someone talking about Evil Dead, it was like, who is this? What is this? And I met him. I started talking to him, and then we started doing those Friday 13th
little fan films.
Just terrible. But I played Jason in them because I was like the biggest and most unstable person. So yeah, we just did them. And I'm Brian's still my best friend. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant screenwriter. But yeah, I always wanted to do horror movies. Like, that's what excites me. And I went to this very prestigious acting school, and it was really serious stuff. And it was like, this Damian, he's the horror fan. That's what it was. It was like, he's the guy that likes horror movies. Because like any exercise or whatever in class, it would be a horror movie, and they'd be like, do something else. But so it wasn't like, oh, like Damian likes horror movies. Like, he's a good actor, but he likes horror movies. So it's like, it's always like, why do you want to, like, don't you want to do a couple and then move on to real stuff?
Sure.
But and to this day, the stuff that excites me is horror movies. Not just any. I try to do ones that I enjoy. So something like The Man in the Mask and The Strangers, which was a big leap for me there. It's not exactly what we were working on in acting school, but it was still exciting and stuff. But yeah, my road there was still through horror movies. There used to be this thing called the AOL chat room.
Yeah.
That's where
I'm not that young. I'm not that young. I'm in my 40s.
If you're a fan of Hanson, you could find this chat room that talked all about Hanson. These blonde people who did
It's
music,
amazing.
and you know there was 100 Britney Spears chats and Silverchair. I don't know, or like cooking and stuff. And obscure things. And then there was the AOL horror chat, and I would hang out in there and talk to other people. You know, it was about finding other horror fans because, you know, conventions really weren't big yet, and the internet and stuff, you know. So and in there I met other horror fans who were like trying to, you know, make their way and work in the business, and kind of like joined forces. And I wound up working with one of them on a really unfortunate movie. Yeah, you can't even call it a movie, but like you can trace everything from there to wherever I am now, wherever that is.
Well, and that's one of the really cool things about horror. And I wonder if it's, you know, I got into punk rock at a relatively young age and got into horror at a young age as well. I'm the youngest of 5, so I have, you know, 4 older siblings. By the time I came along, my parents were like, as long as you're not watching like people do it on movies all the time, like whatever, watch whatever. So I got to see all that stuff on like the TV edits. So, you know, it was relatively clean watching the Friday the 13th and all that. And then finding punk rock, I always sort of equate those two or think about the cultures as like somewhat similar. There's like this DIY work ethic. There's this whole like familial, like, you know, once you've got like your core group, you can sort of rise together. And it sounds like, you know, your experience, you know, with acting is kind of, you know, confirming that that idea that punk rock and horror sort of have a similar sort of vibe.
Absolutely. Horror is punk rock, or should be punk rock. That's why, like, when people are, you know, kind of complaining about the Oscars or whatever, you know, not, you know, embracing or acknowledging horror, like Toni Collette and Hereditary, whatever, which should have won or been nominated. But like, that's what horror is. It was supposed to be. It's like, you know, we don't give a shit. You know, it's
anti-establishment.
It's the one you know, genre that keeps plugging along and making money. You know, like, what do you care about the
oh my
statues and shit?
It's incredible too. I mean, even, you know, this year we're seeing 2024 might go down as one of the great years in horror, not only because of the successes in the box office, but man, the variety. It seems like, you know, to go from like Late Night with the Devil to Abigail to Long Legs and Alien and Terrifier 3, and it's just like we're sort of getting a little bit of everything.
There's not just crazy stuff out there, like wacky stuff out there, but it's like wacky stuff that's being embraced. And I kind of feel like, because, you know, horror, you know, like anything else, goes through kind of phases and stuff. And like, I guess remakes come out and they're still hated right away. But I do feel like maybe horror fans as a whole are being a little more positive towards things right now. Maybe I'm wrong. But like The Substance and Long coming out, like those really being kind of embraced out of the gate instead of 5-10 years later. I think that's pretty cool. It's impressive. A lot of growth there.
Yeah, it's encouraging, and it just shows that it's like horror can be so many different things, you know, like, something like Long Legs that sort of, to me, kind of reminded me of like a Wes Anderson movie, like the way it's shot, you know, there's just something so like just thoughtful about the camera placement and all that. And then, of course, stuff like The Substance, people are talking, you know, all that body horror stuff. And man, Terrifier 3 is a whole different ball of wax, of course. But yeah, it is interesting to see that even though, you know, it seems like we do live in a day and age that increasingly gets like divisive and almost everything gets political, to where it's like you either love this thing or hate this thing, like pick your side. You can't just be like, like with Abigail, I was like, I liked Abigail just fine. It didn't blow me away, but I saw a lot of people were like, oh my God, this is like the greatest vampire movie. And I'm like, I feel bad sometimes having a nuanced opinion, but at the same time, I'm like, well, the more we talk about it, the more hopefully people can, you know, want to embrace those conversations and talk about why they feel the way they feel about something instead of just stating an opinion.
They can't all be the best and the worst. It is okay to just make something that's like I
Mhm.
enjoyed that. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
good. That was
something
fair.
that's a true escape, you know? I think that's the idea, and I think another thing too about horror, I always think of it as like this roller coaster ride. Like, sometimes when you tell people you like horror, they're like, "What's going on with you?" And it's just like, "Well, what? You like to go home and sit on the couch and watch a show about, like, all this drama that people have in their lives, and I can't just watch a show or watch a movie where, people are getting hacked up and chased around? Like, ¿cuál es la
Happens all the time.
diferencia?"
That's why, like, out in the world, like, people, like, try to engage me in discussion. Like, oh, what do you do? It's like, ugh. I'd rather just tell them anything else than be like,
Yeah.
I'm an actor, because I know the line of questioning that's coming after that. And pretty, I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but I can tell when Susie, didn't see, whatever, or she just doesn't know about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't watch horror. Well, fuck you then.
And most, I think a lot of people that say that maybe haven't tried since they were like a little kid. And I mean, even when I was a little kid, like, there was that mini series V that was on when I was a kid. I would hide behind my mom's chair, but there was still something so alluring about that fear. Or even like Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure freaked the hell out of me as a little kid. But I
V
was
is
like, I
dating
was
you.
drawn.
V
Yes,
is really dating you. That's
it is.
well,
But good shit.
if you're too scared or whatever to watch horror, that's totally fine. But I don't want to hear like your judgment and shit. Like, get the fuck out
Sure.
of my face. Fuck.
Yeah.
Can
With
I
the
curse, by the way? Sorry.
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, that's got to be, pretty fun to do. I mean, obviously you've used your voice since like the beginning of your, career, even before it was a professional career. How much fun is that to sort of, get to throw just everything you've got into that vocal performance for a character in a game? How does it feel different than what you do when you're in front of a camera?
It did present challenges I wasn't prepared for. So it was like the first thing I did voice wise. So I know that they wanted me for Johnny, kind of like this growling kind of thing. But
Hmm.
like most of Johnny's interactions, at least from the first recording, is yelling at people or chasing
Hmm.
people. There's a distance, or you're trying to find people. So everything is yelling. And I was like the hardest thing for someone who's not, didn't go to, voice acting school or any of that stuff. It was like
Hmm.
trying to maintain this growly thing, but at someone, 300 feet away. So everything was
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, where you running to?" So it's like, I was trying to keep that, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Just like, I really like that group Gun that does the game, and
Yeah.
it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's
Yeah.
directly up my alley. And Johnny's he's just fun. He's an idiot. He's just he's just a one track imbecile.
Yeah.
He's got one mode for the most, but at least the first time out, it was like,
Yep.
just bad guy, loud, aggressive, arrogant. I was like, I mean, let me at it. I can do this.
Yeah, they're like, we need you to do Pacino screaming all the
Right.
time.
I
You
was like,
know.
hoo-ah! I probably did it.
Absolute.
Yeah. And that was like when they came up to me to do that part. It was I was at a convention. I was at Texas Frightmare, and they were introduced to me, and I was like, oh, Friday the 13th. Like, of course, I love Friday the 13th. And they were like, you're at the top of the list, hoping to voice this character for our new game. And I was like, me? Like, at that point, I was like, whatever it was like, if you knew of me, just from horror stuff, it was from Strangers and Haunt, like
Hmm.
like two lines in between both movies. And I was like,
Yeah.
You want me to voice something? Like, it didn't make sense to me. But like, they had seen me talking on a panel or something. I'm not even sure. But they're like, you got to come see this guy. He's so like arrogant and aggressive. Like, he's totally Johnny. I was like, oh, thank you.
Thank you? Question mark.
Maybe I
But
should
yeah,
take
I
a
mean,
real look at myself.
and you do, from one person that apparently loves to hear their voice so much. I do have to say you have a fantastic voice. It's excellent. I can totally see why. And it looks like, based on what I've been seeing here in the chat too, it looks like everyone thinks you're very dreamy. I don't know if they're talking about you or me, Damian, but I'm here every week. They never say it. You're here this week, they're saying it. So
I don't have
not
my
only
glasses on, but I assume it's you.
okay, all right. Now, when with the Strangers Pray at Night, what I think is so interesting about that film is like, you know, up until getting the chapter 1, and who knows what's going to happen if they're even going to do the chapter 2 and the chapter 3, there's like this duology of these movies that are sort of like, one-offs in a sense. And man, there is this huge part of the horror community that really celebrates Pray at Night. And I see a lot of people that put it above the original, as far as what they enjoy and what they're looking for. And it even has some really nice nods to something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What was now, when you're shooting something like that, are you doing most of like the, I don't know how much of the driving work they have you do, or how much of the stunt work they have you do? Since you're wearing a mask, it's tough to tell, but how much of that is 100% Damian in that film?
It's funny you mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because like with chapter 1 and chapter 2, like the rights are all over the place and the movie all over the place. I feel like Strangers, if it keeps going, it's going to wind up like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, just be like a
Yeah.
potpourri of nonsense and all over the place, and then people reboot it, and then like Liv Tyler will come back in 20 years.
There you go.
I did, I wanted to do most everything I could. I didn't want to be on fire, and I did not want to crash things into other things. I don't think they did. They wanted me to either. So if, unless it's on fire or being crashed into something, it was, it's me. I mean, I definitely drove, and there was like 6 trucks, and my truck, the one, the hero truck, like you had to step on the brakes like 5 seconds before, ahead of time, when you wanted it to brake, which was a lot of fun. Driving towards the crew, and you're like, okay, I want to stop this truck in 5 seconds. So you gotta, I mean, I did everything I could, and they were great about it. I mean, the whole reason it was me instead of like, a stunt performer in the first place was because Johannes, the director, wanted an actor in there.
Yeah.
So, like,
there is something to be said.
If you can see my eyes, it's me.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said. Like, there certainly are stunt actors that do a really good job with the, with the physical acting. But I think, we see from, watching all the franchise movies, there's a reason why everyone thinks of Robert Englund and doesn't want anyone else to play Freddy. There's a reason why people have their favorite Jason or Michael, because it is something that it does take a specific touch, to really land that. And seeing your eyes, I mean, with that scene in the car, in the cab of the car, when you're laying the death blow there, on the father, like, you really do get a nice little acting moment there with your eyes, where it's like your character is really sort of like taking it in and enjoying every little bit of, this moment. So yeah, I can totally see why they would want, a true blue performer there. And I would imagine that's got to be one of those moments where you're like, I really gotta, like, I gotta soak this one up, because you're wearing a mask,
Like, when they came to me for that movie, I had quit, acting or quit not acting because I wasn't just kind of miserable and unhappy. And I lived in Maine, in Portland, Maine, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to try to do this anymore. And then I was there for a few months, and then my friend John Wagner, is a producer on it, called me up and said, you know, we're doing a sequel to The Strangers. And I was like, oh, it's been like 10 years. That's cool. And he said, you know, what would you think about playing, you know, the bad guy? And I was like, the guy with the bag on his head? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, I mean, like I really like the first one, but like, like you don't like, what do you want me in there for? Like that's just gonna annoy. Like I'm done with this. And then like that's like it's not acting. It's just gonna frustrate me to see people acting while I got a fucking bag in my head. And I was just a bitter person. But like he sent me the script and I started reading it and I got to that scene in the van with the father and I was like, okay, this is cool. I want to do this just for this. And I felt for reading the whole script that was the scene where I'd have the opportunity, if allowed, to kind of, you know, pace it myself to bring something to it, even like little fleeting moments, but like bring some kind of behavior to it and like make it mine. And that's a rare thing because that scene, the way that was filmed, and it was the first thing I filmed on that movie, that did play out exactly as I had it in my head. Like it's like, you know, when you read something, you know, the things go through your head and then like you go to film them and it's completely different. Like that, we could like taking the image from my brain and like put it there. And, yeah, I mean that's exactly what I did there. I was like trying to find little subtle ways of injecting myself in there.
Yeah, a little bit of that humanity, because I think do you see both of the girls' faces? I think you see one of their faces a couple times, right? But yeah, you got to bring
Emma's face, who's doll face. She gets her mask, but he doesn't get the mask off of Leah. She stabs her.
Oh yeah. And so it's just a little bit of that humanity there, right? Because it's not Michael Myers, it's not Jason Voorhees. So I think those are those moments that, you know, that's a freaky moment. I think something that really helps sell, you know, what's going on there. And speaking of freaky moments, you've got the pool scene, and Raymond wants to know if you were the performer throughout that entire scene there in the pool.
Yeah, pretty much. The only time it wasn't me were bits and pieces, completely submerged. So we didn't want me and Lewis, who's a big movie star now. Like they didn't want me to kill Lewis because then he wouldn't be a big movie star now.
Don't kill him for real.
Right. They were like, don't kill Bill Pullman's son, because that's just who he was then. Now he's Lewis. But yeah, I mean, we definitely would have killed each other. So whenever you see, you know, the other, it's with this stunt double, and it's like it's underwater. Like the mask was like, you know, twirling around in my head. It was insane. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's all me for the most part, probably like 90%. But my stunt double Matt, you know, is doing shit that like I didn't want to or thought would be safer, you know, for him to do it.
Yeah. There's a reason why they have insurance policies and want to look out for the well-being of people on set. Absolutely.
The insurance company called up and they were like, don't let him kill Lewis Pullman.
He's going to be a big star someday. We just have a feeling.
We need to get the Pet Sematary. We need to have the Pet Sematary remake on the shelf for 3 years before we release it.
Oh, geez. Now, you had mentioned you know, had quit acting. Now, once you came back and did this, was that sort of like, all right, I feel refreshed. I want to get back into this, or, you know, what was there some sort of like watershed moment that got you back in, or what was it?
I mean, that shooting that movie was just, it was like fantasy camp. It was so much fun. Just such a great group. And it was just like, it was just so much fun. We knew that movie was going to come out and get like lynched, but like we didn't care because we were having fun. I thought it was great. I love the movie. I have a genuine affection for it. But like, it wasn't acting still. It was shenanigans, you know? It was fun. Like, but like my friend Brian there, the puppeteer from Little Shop, great screenwriter, he came to visit us on that set. And you know, the guy did those great Friday the 13th sequels, unofficial. He came to visit us, and then John duped him into working on the movie. But Brian like hid in the bushes a lot to get away from doing work. Sorry, Brian. And like I was standing there with the axe, and I'm waiting on the side of the road, ready to go out after Bailey. And I had the axe, and I'm like, I'm in the bushes, and then Brian like comes out from the bushes, and he's just standing there looking at me, and he said, "Not much has changed, has it?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cute that we're still out here doing this." It was an adorable, emotional moment, but I knew it was going to be a weird time for me because, like, I know horror movies, been a fan all my life. I knew that doing that was going to open some paths, but not like acting paths. Like I wasn't going to be cast as, you know, Macbeth or anything based on playing Baghead in Strangers Pray at Night. But I figured at best I could maybe parlay it into something else, and then, you know, kind of knock my way up towards, you know, whatever. But I mean, I was open to it, but I knew it was going to be a weird journey. And then Haunt came not too long after. So, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm doing like back to back, like killers. You can't tell it's me. I barely speak. I'm like, now this is going to be my thing. I was just like, and it could have been, I could have just done that until, you know, the cows came home.
Yeah, you know, that's the cool thing about the horror community is like once, you know, I go to conventions and everything, and there are some people that maybe they've been in you know, a bunch of films, but they're known for like the few, you know, horror things that they did that stood out. And what's really great is those people, it's like you're going to be celebrated forever by taking on these roles in this community that's just got just a lot of fire and passion behind it. You know, there's for every horror movie, there's a horror fan that's their favorite movie. And, you know, like I said with Pray at Night, like there's a whole, you know, faction of people where they're like, that's my Strangers movie. You know, it's a really fascinating subculture, and it's amazing. Like you can, you know, go to conventions and all that stuff, and you know, talk about these movies and make these movies as long as you want to. It's pretty incredible.
I love the Pray at Night's increasing embrace. Like, you know, it came out and it, you know, had like a 3 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever the hell it was. And, you know, it was like New York Times and Variety, you know, fucking obliterated it. And we were like, New York Times didn't like The Strangers Pray at Night.
Newsflash.
And, you know, it was like Get Out had come out. I remember one review saying with you know, movies like Get Out now, and it was Get Out and Hereditary. It was like with movies like this now, there's no place for movies like Pray at Night anymore.
Yeah.
So it was like a bad time for that movie to come out. Also came out like in the thick of Black Panther's reign. So like it was a great time for that movie to come out. But over the years, like people have reached out to me and been like, hey, you know, I didn't want to see Pray at Night in the theaters when it came out, but like I just watch it, like, man, like, well, so much fun. Or like people have said, you know, I fucking hated Strangers Pray at Night when it came out. Now it's my 3rd favorite movie of all time, and like stuff like that. And like that's great. Yeah. And I, you know, as a horror fan, when we were filming it, I was like, it's going to take like 5 years for people to come around and you know, and kind of give this a chance, because it's like, it's different than the original, so they're gonna fucking hate it. It's you know, it's not the same as the original, so they're gonna fucking hate it. You know, it's the same thing. Like, it's nobody hates horror movies more than horror fans. You know, which you know, so like I knew it was gonna take some time and healing and stuff, but like keep it going. I just did an interview. Lewis and I just did this interview. I'm probably not even supposed to mention it, but I will anyway. With the Vulture. Vulture reached out to us and was like, "We'd love to interview you guys about the pool scene from Friday night." I was like, "Now?" And, yeah, like it's the greatest thing ever, and we just want to keep celebrating.
Yeah.
We were like, "Fuck yeah!" So yeah, that's cool. Just keep it coming.
That's sort of how it goes. You know, there's so many, I think, especially with horror, so many movies like that where it's like, you know, somebody comes out or a few people come out and they're like, give this movie a chance again. You know, it's like we saw with the original Halloween franchise, once Halloween 3 came out and everyone was like, what the hell's this? Like Michael Myers isn't in it. And then it wasn't really available. You know, maybe VHS it was available, but it didn't come out on DVD for like ever. And then once the fans started watching it again, you know, they realized, oh my God, this movie is great, even though it has nothing to do with Michael, you know?
Once it hits the kind of nostalgia, you know, track, you know, I mean, there is, it does go too far sometimes. There are movies that were not given a chance when they came out. And should be embraced, like The Strangers Pray at Night. But then there's, you know, stuff like it's time we all look back and gave Congo the respect it deserves. And it's like, hold on.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah. I mean,
we did the right thing trying to get rid of Congo and keeping it away from kids, these poor kids, you know, or like Ghost Ship and stuff. Stuff's like, no.
Yeah. Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation. I've seen some, you know, there's a few people out there that are like, it's the best in the series. And I'm like,
hold on. I'm one of those people. So not the best in the series. Obviously,
okay.
Best in the series. But
yeah,
is it the second best? Look, I know you don't want to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation too much, but
let's do it.
Feeling it in there. And you know, Renee Zellweger, like they gave it 110%. That movie's so fucking crazy. Like I just have to have
it. It definitely goes for it. I will say that, like with McConaughey, you know, again, like somebody that, you know, you don't know that they're going to blow up into stardom. Like he really does embrace the, you know, the spirit of the characters from the original as best he can. It gets a little wacky.
There is very little chainsaw in it for a Texas Chainsaw movie. But
yeah, and then there's this weird like Illuminati kind of FBI sort of thing that goes on as well, you know?
They just go for it. You gotta applaud sometimes when they just go for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think that, like, honestly, like one of my unpopular opinions is I really love Halloween Ends, and it's sort of like a coin flip on that, whether people are gonna, you know, like Halloween Ends or think it's the worst in the franchise or the worst movie ever, you know, some people say. But I'm one of those people where like I like when a film takes chances, and I like when it's not just a rehash. So, you know, something that tries to expand on the lore, do a little, like, I've got plenty. If I want to put in a Michael Myers movie where it's Michael Myers going around killing teenagers, I've got like 8 or 9 of those. And then there are a few of the oddball ones in the series, and I tend to embrace those, like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I'm one of the weirdos that really likes that movie. You know, and not everything works for me in it, but I really do appreciate the chances that are taken. And I imagine that's why people lean on that Pray at Night, because they do like the fact that it's different. They love not only the rockin' 80s soundtrack, but the score is brilliant, you know, and
it's just fun. There's fire, there's water, there's music, there's fun. It was ballsy for Halloween Ends to do what it did. As like the last movie of that era, it was they had to know that what they were doing was not going to be met well with fans. So I mean, that was bold. It was ballsy.
Very bold. Yeah, and I figured they just know that the reset button's coming anyways, and whatever. By 2028, we're gonna have a brand new Michael Myers movie, regardless of what anyone says or does, right? It's just on the 50th anniversary, we're gonna get one, and there's no stopping that train at all.
And a show too at the same time. Please.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I'm hoping that they do the show before, and I don't know. I've got all my wacky idea for the show is like that series, or that franchise has so many like false starts and so many like loose ends and dead ends. I'm the kind of guy where I would like to see like an anthology series where each season is like its own follow-up to one of the dead ends or loose ends. So we actually see like Danielle Harris come back and play a fucked up version of Jamie Lloyd where she's been in the hospital since Halloween 4. And we get like a follow-up to that, or bring Josh Hartnett back from H2O and we get a follow-up. You know what I mean? And each season is its own little story because, I love Michael. He's my boy. Halloween's my favorite slasher franchise. But even I'm sitting around thinking, how the fuck are they going to pull that off? Like, what are they going to do here?
I think you're going to have to open the wallet to bring Hartnett back at this point. But yeah, I mean, do something. Do different things. Do something new, or just don't do it.
Maybe don't do it.
Take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do any Halloween stuff. Wait till I'm dead. Then, a whole new bunch of people bring it back. Harass my kids with it for a few decades.
Yeah.
Can we get the rights to The Burning or something and do more
there you go
movies or something? Try that out. Like I don't want more Nightmare on Elm Street shit. Like as to who's going to take over the Freddy mantle, how about no one? Who cares? Like stop. Just give it some fucking a little more, 20 more years. And I know it's very, very unpopular what I'm saying. That's why.
Well, I think with like Nightmare, it's one of those things where it's like when you look back at the movies they have done, there's like 3 really good ones, I think. And, like part 4, like I enjoy, but for me, it's like the first movie, the third movie, and New Nightmare, the ones that I really enjoy. That series is sort of like, I get why that one's sort of up in the air,
Which one did Rennie Harlan do? The director of The Strangers, Chapter 1. He did one of them, didn't he? Did he do 5?
I think he did part 5, which is where it was like full MTV. And Freddy comes back through the baby that's not born yet, which is that's the point where the series reached for me, where I was like, how many friggin' ways is Freddy going to come back? Like now a baby is having dreams. Like what's going on? I would take all the weird shit that happened with Jason over that sort of turn, and that's another thing too. Like, who knows if we're ever going to see one of those Jason movies again? Michael is alive and well, but holy cow, Jason and Freddy are just hanging out in purgatory together.
I mean, I don't need to. I don't need to see more Jason. I feel like, any youngster, there's a whole shitload of movies to go through. Like, and we've gotten Jason in space, and then we've got Jason hopping around from body to body. Like, I mean, I'm all set on Jason.
Yeah,
I'd rather see new things, but I know that's not welcome, and it's not my call. So
and who knows if that's ever going to happen. I don't have much. I covered it here on the channel. I'm like really wary about that TV show and just the troubled production that they've been having, where I'm I don't even know
happening.
Like it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years, and they just fired, or let go of Brian Fuller, and they brought in a new producer, showrunner, they're starting from scratch. They're going all the way back to the beginning. And I'm like, man, it's been 2 years and we have nothing. We don't even have a poster. We have, hopefully they take it. I hope we do get a little bit of a Pamela story. Like, I'm there for that. I hear you on Jason though. It got pretty ridiculous. And I'm a massive Evil Dead fan, as you can see there, but that whole like trying to blend the Evil Dead universe with the Jason universe in Goes to Hell was just sort of bizarre to me. That movie, man, the mid to late 90s was a wild time for those slasher franchises that just didn't know how to be different in the new decade.
And they were up against, the Screams and I know you did Last Summers by that point, like I guess late 90s.
Yeah, right? it got a little sanitized. Yeah. And you bring up a good point though with The Burning, because I think that's a fun direction to sort of think about. It's like, well, what are some of the would have been icons, or even characters that are icons, but it's like a nostalgic kind of thing. Like, I'm a big And granted, the movie could be better, but there's something about the Prowler that I really love. I love the look of the killer and the Savini effects. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an idea for a movie that you could modernize, and you could bring that idea back. I think Blumhouse is working on My Bloody Valentine, but there's something about those whodunit revenge slashers I really dig. And it would like to see that sort of make a return. I think Thanksgiving did a really good job of sort of, bringing that back into the horror realm. But I don't know. What do you think? Beyond the burning, is there something that you've been itching to see or that you would want to take part in, either as a performer or a producer?
As a performer, probably not. Although I guess if someone came along and was like, "Do you want to play Cropsy?" I probably would not be able to say no.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But for some reason, the burning just appeals to me so much. You know what? I just like that the way it pulls off that summer camp, and like the performances are a little bit above, the grade, of par for the course. But yeah, there's just something about that bastard that I dig. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. Saying coming from someone who's on here because he did a sequel to a few things. Like, I don't need sequels to things. Like, I heard you talking about, the Black Christmas. Black Christmas is my one true love. Like, I never needed another movie from that.
Yeah.
Like I never cared. Like, that was it. It was good with that. So like, and I'm kind of like that with the burning, and there's like, well, we got more Cropsy, be on more shirts and lunchboxes and stuff, and that would be cool. Well, like, I don't know, like, but my favorite slashers, are like Black Christmas, like Alice, Sweet Alice.
That's a good one.
Fright, I could always use more stage fright. I think the Euro slasher with the owl.
Yeah.
But like, no, I don't know. I mean, I'm not against playing like silent killers or whatever. Like, in fact, the thing we're cooking right now would kind of put me back into that. But like, it has to be, I would rather just like do someone new. Try.
Yeah, create your own thing.
Yeah. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a good answer for anything. I just kind of like feel my way around with it. But so if someone's doing Cropsy, come talk to me. Well, I don't even know how you get the rights to that. There's like that fucking slob Weinstein. That was a Weinstein.
Oh my God, yeah, because he wrote the story.
Right. Oh, I mean, it's got one of the rare final guys in it. Of course, so it's Weinstein. So I don't even know like who has those rights or whatever, or like why they're not trying to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what the question is. I know I didn't answer it though.
Oh, you did a great job. You perfect, pitch perfect. Love the answer. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Like, I think that's one of those things is like us horror fans, it's like, we'll always like peek and see what that is. But yeah, you don't really need anything. I mean, you don't need anything after the first Halloween movie, but they found a way with the original Halloween 2 to like kind of make it alluring. I'm not saying it's a great film, but it's like, yeah. And Black Christmas has that similar vibe. Like every time I watch Black Christmas, it's like it gets better for me and creepier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's perfect. But like when I did Strangers and I did Haunt in the same year, Haunt took a while to come out, but like doing those, and then so of course the conversation with both people involved in the production, and then fans, or sequel, like universe, franchise, endless, wind up in space, wind up in the hood twice. Well, Strangers in the Hood. I mean, call me up. Let's talk.
Too many guns. right?
Right. So then you can do, you can add in the Matrix thing there, if you want to go to late 90s. But so it's like prequels, let's, what, where the stranger's origin, the haunt origin. And I was like, you don't want it. Like, you think you want it, but you don't want to know this guy works, at a deli, or, he's an accountant or something, because like, then it's that whole mystery or scare, whatever, is gone for you. Like, I get thinking you want it, but you don't want it. And
what's in your head is probably a better idea than anything. It's prequels to me, and it's something that occasionally they get it right. I'm trying to think of an example right now, because I know that there's like one that I've thought of before, but it's usually like if I already know like how it got to the first spot where we tuned in and saw the story. Like, I don't really need to know how it got there, because it's much more intriguing to see what I would rather see what comes next than see what comes before. Like Furiosa, I don't, like, people say it's a good movie. I don't think I'll ever watch it. Like, I don't need to, everything I need to know about Furiosa, I learn in Fury Road. And I'm actually more interested to know how she handles the power, and does she become more like a Morton Joe? Does she realize that you have to have a grip on these people or else you're going to lose everything? Like, that to me is more intriguing than like, how'd she get her arm? When did she shave her head? Like Han Solo getting his gun and his jacket, and like these are all things that no one gives a shit about. It turns into like a video game.
Prequel. The Burning.
There you go.
Where it's like, wow, he was such a jerk.
Well, the Burning prequel is the first 5 minutes of the movie, right? It's pretty much like,
but we want to see him being like kind of a jerk, where they accidentally, or light him on fire, but just an hour and a half of him being kind of a dick to kids at camp. And at least there's some sort of reason why the jerk kids would play such a terrible prank. I mean, even stuff like Star Wars, where I'm like, everything I need to know about Vader, I find out in 4, 5, and 6. Like, I do not need to see him going on a picnic. Like, that doesn't do anything for us. You can make more money. You can make more money. So,
yeah. Well, and it's you'd brought up Haunt. I think that's one of those good. It's a great one-off. Like, there's certain scary movies that people watch no matter what during October, but I think Haunt for me is one of those that like really it feels like the season as well. Like you get that feeling. And I really dug how. I was like, this is pretty clever, because there's a little bit of like a Saw vibe, but it's also like these people are sort of, they've sort of created this situation themselves, right? And for a while, I'm sitting there like thinking, I'm like, are we gonna find out that it is like that nothing bad really is happening? And then as stuff progresses, you're like, oh shit, no, this is really happening.
Yeah. The Scott and Brian, the writers and directors they're good like that. They're good at taking that kind of simple stuff and adding in, just enough. They're really two brilliant, wonderful nerds. And they have a movie coming out soon, Heretic from A24.
Oh, that's them. All right. Yeah, that movie looks really good.
Of course, they wrote A Quiet Place as well, which was filming at the same time as we did Haunt. And we were filming Haunt, in October. We filmed on Halloween. So, we got that. That was really cool. Like, we're filming this movie. It is Halloween. It's like it does add to the kind of the vibe. But that was a lot of fun. I'm very lucky, grateful to have done Strangers and Haunt back to back like that in practically the same area. It was just fun. I felt like it was better than I deserved. It was like, I'm having too much fun like this year. And now we have action figures and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, and and especially to come back from that, kind of sabbatical or taking a break from acting, and then to have a couple of good experiences. I've never worked on a set or anything like that. I come from, played music for a lot of my life. And so, a little bit of experience with like, that little corner of show business. But it's like, I could only imagine how exhausting, working on films can be. So it's got to be so rewarding to not only, be able to get back into it, but then have it be, an enjoyable experience because, the hours have got to be long. It's got to be grueling. Especially in Haunt, you've got all that stuff on your face. Although I guess you probably only needed to wear that for, those specific scenes, I'm guessing, something like that.
Yeah, that wasn't, that was probably maybe like 4 days or something. I need to have the full prosthetics on. If I have the mask on, I'm just wearing a hood, but the face.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like there's zero complaints about working on those movies or like really any movie. Like you're making movies and stuff. Like just especially as an actor. Like crew, whatever. They get the some of them have the right to gripe. Much longer days for them. Back to their trailer and sip their tea and shit. So like it's just it's like fantasy camp. Even the bad movies, it's like you can gripe about being a shitty movie, but you can't complain about like what you're working at. You're champagne problems. You're grateful. You're one
somewhere,
of the very few.
Yeah, somewhere there is some guy working in a deli that's considering becoming a killer because he'd rather do something else, right? And then there you are getting to play for a living.
He's just grateful. Origin.
He's making sandwiches at Subway.
The man in the mask is some fucking grip who is just so tired of coddled little bitchy actors who running off to their trailers and complaining to SAG. That's enough to send some grip to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna stranger someone this weekend. To play some music and just harass people with an axe until we're tired of them, and then put them down.
That's going to be my vacation, is just going to be going out there to some random empty trailer park and harassing everyone.
That's why like everyone's like, so do you have to like go to a dark headspace when you're playing a guy who doesn't speak with a bag on your head? It's like, who can't get there? Who can't like tap into something in your life? It'd be a lot easier is if like this weekend I just put a bag on my head and harass some people until they actually shoot their friend.
Yeah. And then, there is something about putting that on that, like, I can only speak from my experience of dressing up as Michael Myers for Halloween, but there is something when you put that mask on and you start looking at the world in a different way. And it's like, to me, when I pull that, that Halloween mask on, I don't know, it just feels different. It doesn't make me any more angry, but it's gotta, like, I think maybe those folks don't, you put that bag on your head and start looking at the world through those little holes in a sack, and
nobody knows who I am. I'm a little intimidating. Yeah, definitely.
When I hand out candy as Michael Myers, like the kids will come right up. It's the parents that stay on the sidewalk and they're like, no, Michael.
You don't have to, act scary. It's taking care of everything for you. So it's an easy gig, man. I get it. I'm
gonna have to give it a shot. Hey, if you ever say no to something, just give me a call or have them give me a call.
My lines are open for Cropsy, but otherwise I'll just pass them over to you.
There we go. And if I hear something about Cropsy, or if I hear about anyone making a burning movie, I'll send them your way as well.
Go here. Come on.
Now, you've got a couple, films that had just come out this year. Blackeyed Susan, I saw a lot about that you were, posting on your Insta and read about it and everything. And that seems like a little bit of a different kind of movie, like, really intense and really.
Just reading in the new Fangoria here. Some clown on the cover. I don't know who that is.
Some guy, yeah.
Whatever. Yes, it's in the new Fangoria. It's covered in the new Fangoria. It's Blackeyed Susan. And there's a picture of me. But I'm right here, so you don't need to see that picture. But yeah, Blackeyed Susan. premiered at the illustrious, prestigious Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal. It's a crazy thing, that movie. It's the scariest thing I've ever done. It's more champagne coddled, soft acting stuff, but like that's a movie I did say no to because it scared the crap out of me doing it. And, but then I couldn't say no. Like I couldn't. It went against like everything. I was like set, lines for myself as a human being not to cross a lot of. And then I read the script and I was like, oh my God. I remember just sitting in the kitchen and it was like pitch black. And I was just sitting there for like 3 hours thinking about like, am I really going to do this? Like, I feel like I'm going to say yes. Cause it was like, they were like, we're doing this movie. This guy, Justin, reached out to me as a producer I'd wanted to work with. He produces The Last Drive-In, the Joe Bob thing. Vinegar Syndrome had started this production branch. I was like, what? Like,
wow.
Making movies now? So
That's awesome.
It was going to be shot on film. Scooter McCrae wrote and directed it. It's like a name, this legendary, notorious name that I like grown up with. And Fabio Frizzi was doing the friggin' score, like The Beyond and Zombie. Like,
wow, yeah.
I was like, how do you say no? Like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So I said yes, and I did it, and I'm still here. I survived it, just barely. But it's kind of a sci-fi. It's definitely horror adjacent. It's movie looks like it's from 1973. It's vulgar. It's exploitation. It's sleazy. But it's brilliant and it's thoughtful and it should provoke discussion. And maybe it's not for everyone. Maybe it's not for anyone. It's definitely controversial. But like it had to be done, and I'm out there pushing it, even though I'm very exposed in it. And
so it's something that like when you're sitting there thinking like, am I really going to do this? It's like, are you thinking like, is this going to change me? Is this going to like, am I going to cross some sort of line where this is going to affect me for a while? Or was it that kind of question where you're just like, you're crossing a line, and even though it's pretend, you're like, is it going to affect me psychologically?
Well, that's a good question. Whenever I say like I was struggling with doing it, that's what people think I'm talking about, because they think, like I'm a deep person with like, emotions stuff. But like I'm not that deep, and the morals of, gone. I have met after I filmed, I had met people, crew and other assorted folks, production, who had turned it down. We're like, oh my God, you did Blackeyed Susan? Like people are like, oh my God, I couldn't do it because of the subject matter. And I totally get that. They're human beings with, their soul is intact still. For me, it's, I mean, there is some stuff there. There's an oral sex scene with a razor blade. But that didn't scare me. But it is, I was very exposed in it, right? So it's a very nude movie at parts. And like that's not me. I try to keep in shape. Exercise and all that stuff is like my least favorite thing to do in the world, right? It's like, I can't think of anything I want to do less than exercise and stuff. But like, if I'm going to play cropsy and stuff, I got to be in enough shape to like lug around everything, right? So it's like actors, you like, you gotta, it's awful. But I was in pretty good shape when they came to me there. But like, I'm not a method actor. I'm good and I'm serious. But like, I do have a pet peeve, and one of my pet peeves is when actors are like in a shape that I don't think the character would be in. You know, like the greatest example is like Ryan Reynolds and like Amityville Horror.
Oh yeah, where it just looks absurd.
Good for them, that's all anyone thinks about when they think
Yeah.
of the Amityville Horror movie. So like, what the hell do I know? But like, kind of like, you know, 70s, you know, suburban guy, you know, alcohol, whatever. So of course he'd look like a Greek statue. Like that makes sense. It makes sense. Why not? But like, that's just the way I am. So like, you know, this character in it, you know, he's recently unhoused. Is that the term?
Politically correct term?
Without home.
Yes.
He lives in his car. He's vehicularly home. He's eating out of a dumpster. He literally eats out of this restaurant dumpsters. He's not going to the gym, and he's just a guy. So like, I'm like, he would be in the shape of a guy, and like, it's the easiest thing in the world. Just do nothing for a couple months leading up to filming. Maybe eat some Doritos stuff. I really like Doritos. So, but I was like, I can't, because like, I can't be going on screen fully exposed in that kind of shape, because just like, audiences, they don't see that. All they see is, you know, they want Ryan Reynolds from Amityville Horror. But that's what I did anyway. So that was one thing. And then the other thing, I'm sorry to do this to you, my friend, on your show, but since you brought up Blackeyed Susan, you know, like, penises are a weird thing. You know, they're like,
no one wants to see one.
You know, it's just like, and I know mine. It's been with me my entire life. Like, I knew that guy there didn't have any interest in being in the movies, you know? So, and that's like another struggle, stressed me out to hell. And I knew he was not going to be cooperative. And I just kept thinking of like George Costanza coming out of the pool. So, like, I knew that it was going to be a problem. And I remember standing there about to do that scene, and Scooter, the director, is like, all right, you ready? And I was like, no, I need 5 minutes in the bathroom. He was like, haha, yeah, right. I was like, I'm serious. Yeah. And then I came out 5 minutes later, and he was like, you ready? I was like, no, but let's go. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyway. So
it's
a my last movie. I may deactivate all social media. I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. That is something, it's just so rare that you see that, you know, but we do have some folks here in the chat that every time we talk about nudity in horror films, they're like very pro guy nudity. They're like, hey, if we're going to see the girls naked, let's see the guys naked.
Absolutely. And, you know, mine is more like the Greasy Strangler than it is, you know, Magic Mike or whatever guy nudity, you know, Terrifier 3. I don't know what's going on. But
even William Peterson hangs dong in To Live and Die in LA back in the 80s. So it's like, you know, it's a lost art.
Always.
It's a lost art, right?
Yeah. Well, he probably, you know, Friedkin and production hooked him up with personal trainer, nutritionist, you know, he had already, you know, done Manhunter by that time. So like, I just didn't have the luxury. And the point is that I made the choice. So when you watch Blackeyed Susan, which you should, just know that like that was an acting choice. So when you know, block me on social media, just remember that I chose to be that way.
Like, look, isn't it funny? My shirt shrunk. It's funny that water can do that, right? That'll just be
a human being. Which, you know, it's about the movie, for anyone who doesn't know, is about this recently unhoused gentleman, this vehicularly homed guy who takes a job testing very advanced technology, a sex doll, which is engineered for domestic abuse, which is important. So, and then my character's sort of struggles with alcohol, and maybe, you know, he's got a little handsy in his life. So, but toxic masculinity and AI, it's all great. It's all relevant, and it's a wild, wild time. It's a brilliant movie.
Nice. Yeah, what it sounds like, there's a little bit in there where it's like almost the purpose is to kind of test the doll, right?
Oh yeah. It's beta test. So
yeah,
it's, you know, test that doll out. And the doll, you know, is pushes buttons or you know, you know, it's great. It's great, and I'm good in it too. I do some good acting, and
Hell yeah.
most people haven't seen that yet. Me do any actual acting, so you know.
I mean, that's got to be great, especially, yeah, coming from, you know, doing Jason on the camcorder to, you know, Strangers and Haunt, and then to actually have something where you're, you know, sitting there trying to get your bits and berries to work properly, you know, without an honest to goodness fluffer on set to help you out. And I think that's you know, that's the full spectrum right there. And now you just got to fill in the rest of the gaps on that spectrum, right?
You know what? Just like watch Wrong Turn instead. I did a Wrong Turn movie. I speak another language in it, but that's acting too.
I do want to. No penis. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we can all handle it, right? We're all adults here, at least the people in the chat right now. So
I am not. So
I do want to bring up, I totally missed this, Antonis. I saw it through the chat earlier, but Antonis sent in a $4.99 super chat. It's Antonis's birthday, so happy birthday, sir. And he asks how many days the shoot was on The Strangers Pray at Night, and how many years was the movie in pre-production for, I guess would be the question there, the follow-up.
Happy birthday, Antonis. I'm sorry about the 20-minute penis discussion.
Oh, it's great.
Strangers. I started on that. I know all this because it was like, I went from like $125,000 movie to like the Strangers movie. So it was a big leap. So it started on there at the end of May, and we wrapped mid-July. It's probably like 40 days or something. Seemed like a long time. It was not. That movie was fast-tracked because it had a theatrical release date when we were filming. So we wrapped in July and it came out in March. So whatever the math is there. It came out March 9th, I think. I don't know. But
and then when you end up taking the job, you know, you said you started shooting at the end of May. So when did everything sort of get presented to you as far as like, hey, we want you to play this role? You know, when did you know that you were going to be, you know, taking part in that production?
I knew, well, because I had a friend who was one of the producers on there. So he was kind of talking to me about it for a couple of months leading up to it. But I knew that it was going to be me probably about a month before I started filming.
All right.
Went down there and I had the suits tailored and did a whole fashion show kind of thing to see what we'd be wearing. And and then I left again and I came back and there was a different pinup because they fired the other one. But yeah, and then we were there for a while.
Couple months there, yeah. Is that pretty standard? Is that a couple months shooting? Is that the?
I don't know. It depends on the budget and how big a movie. Probably like 28, 30 days. Probably standard for some kind of like, you know, for like $3 to $5 million movie like that. That movie was crazy because we couldn't start filming until 9 p.m. So like it was like being in a you know, opposite side of the world. It was a whole, which is my wheelhouse. But like,
yeah, you're a bit of a night owl.
Yeah. So the later it gets, the more I'm cooking. You know, eating breakfast, eating lunch at 2 a.m. is my kind of gig.
That's sort of like the original Dawn of the Dead. They, you know, shooting at that mall out there in the Pittsburgh area where it's like, yeah, they just literally went in and shot until the daylight was up. And
I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I'm on all these movies. These people are like, oh my God, I can't take it. They're like, we're, you know, like 2 weeks leading up to it. They're like, we're staying up. We're trying to stay up all night so we can be ready for filming. I was like, eat it.
Yeah.
Sleep until
5 p.m. You're just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed every day.
I was like,
what the hell are we doing?
Like, this is what I was built for.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, Antonis. Really appreciate the super chat. And yeah, man, happy birthday once more. And Damian, you know, we've been chatting for a little bit here. I don't want to, you know, keep you all night, but I do want to, you know, give you the chance here to talk about you know, there's this film that's popping up to me called Dark Circles that's in post-production right now.
Forever.
What's the yeah, because it seems like I've heard about this one before with Felissa Rose in there as well. Do you have any word on Dark Circles and when we can expect to see that popping out?
I have plenty word on Dark Circles. It's the nearest and dearest movie to me. It's based on an idea that I came up with, and the screenwriter is Brian from the famous unofficial Friday 13th, the puppeteer of the plant. It's a brilliant script. We filmed that a while ago now. Post-production, limited funds, has taken a while, and we care about the movie a lot. It's very near and dear, and it is. I've seen it, and if you know me, you know that like I don't really have a problem saying when I don't like a movie or ignoring something that I was in. This movie's quite good. I'm very proud of it. The performances, everything, the cinematography, the score is brilliant. So like, I don't want to like half-ass it or put something out, not, you know, so that's taken a little while with this, but it's about 99.9% done. Just VFX just needed to be fine-tuned there, and Hannah Fierman directed it. Who I've known forever, and she's been in lots of stuff. So I don't have a release date on that yet, but it's coming out there. It probably won't be called Dark Circles though. The original title for this movie is called The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom, and that's something Brian and I took a long time to come up with. It was very noirish kind of title, and I felt like it's a brilliant script. You know, it's about this peeping Tom who's caught and arrested, and he's sent to mandatory rehabilitation, and he's trying to fight the urge to get out there and you know, do it again. They kind of discover that someone's watching him. It's great, but it's you know, it's not a slasher movie. So I felt like the title, while we wanted, you know, a great title, like a title that's gonna, you know, draw in the crowd for that movie, and not, you know, people looking for The Burning 2.
Yeah.
But of course, I knew right away people were going to come in and be like, the events surrounding Peeping Tom, like, that's too long, that sucks, stuff. You know, it's got to be called I Will Kill You or whatever. So I like, and then we were getting like shadow banned on social media or something. I don't know what the hell is going on. So I was like, whatever, while we're filming it in post-production, just, I don't care what you fucking call it. So it's been Dark Circles for a while, long enough where I'm like, I can't stand this title. It's just such a pedestrian title, and no one else like creatively involved likes the title. Everyone wants the title. And like, I've gotten to a point here and been like, well, like, why are we compromising on things? Like, let's just do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, enough. So it's going to go back to being called The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom. And then when we get to distribution, they're going to be like, no, it has to be called I Will Kill You or whatever. And then they can fight it out with me. And depending on how much money they put into it and how good their suggestion is, maybe I'll be like, okay. But but when it does come out, it will be worth it. It's quite good.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that sounds like I really dig that whole kind of, you know, creepy psychological kind of vibe, you know. I think like one of the things that I like the most about movies like Black Christmas and the original Halloween is like that to me it feels real, like the whole like watching somebody waiting for the perfect time. And so I can totally see, even if this movie is not your traditional slasher, it's like the people that end up doing that stuff in real life, they start by watching and obsessing over people, you know?
Someone said the studio is going to change it. Well, there is no studio, but a distributor is going to come in and try to change it, but they're going to have to fight me. Depends on how hard I want to fight. And you know what? Just because you said that, now I'm not budging.
Yeah, Boom Pie. Yeah, the studio is going to change that name for show.
If the studio wants to come in and dump money on me, then they can call it whatever. You can name it.
There you go.
Otherwise, kiss my ass.
Put your money where your mouth is, and name the movie yourself.
It was very inspired by a few movies, but like Polanski's The Tenant. I know I said Polanski. I'm sorry, but he did make some good movies, and
yes,
like early De Palma. So it's in that kind of like Dress to Kill and
oh my gosh, that's so good,
like that. So
I love that
Body Double, which is just
that Brian De Palma. What he did Blowout as well. Is that De Palma?
Yeah, definitely Blowout. Definitely.
Yeah, because that's got that Hitchcockian. He's one of those few guys that sort of kind of nailed the Hitchcock sort of vibe, which is a tough thing to do. You don't see it very much.
John Travolta movie, you've done something right.
Oh my God, Sandy! Oh my God! Oh, that tire totally blew out, Sandy. What happened? It'll probably be called Who's Peeping Now? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's Raymond Malaver says Who's Peeping Now? All right.
Travolta. I assume that's some kind of look.
There you go.
Worlds colliding kind of thing. That's cool.
Yeah. Jamie loves Polanski movies. It's okay to separate the art from the artist. I think that is fair for sure. Blowout.
So good for those who haven't seen it. Yeah, his apartment trilogy, Repulsion, Rosemary's Baby, The Tenant. That's the whole thing there.
Yeah, hell yeah. And is there anything else that I'm missing here as far as anything that you've got coming up that you want to take the opportunity to chat about here during our spooky season discussion?
I just finished a found footage movie called Sundown, with directed by Marcus Slabine and Brian Klingborg. I think that was pretty fun. It was pretty great. I'm looking forward. I mean, we just finished filming it, but I got a bunch of movies coming out. Maybe, I don't know. But that one I have an affection for, so I'd keep an eye out for Sundown. I was hilarious in it, by the way. That's why my hair is blonde. Not that my hair is hilarious, but I was pretty funny in it. It's not comedy, but I was really funny in it. And even if found footage isn't your thing, I don't care. Like, you watch it anyway.
I need to get more into found footage because I've only seen a handful, and I'm realizing
like Wreck and Wreck 2 are some of the greatest shit I've ever seen in my life. And like I was just watching Frogman. That was a lot of fun. That just came out, Frogman.
I've yet to see that. I've heard good things though.
Taking of Deborah Logan. That's really good stuff. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah, I think it's like any other subgenre. It's like it's all about just how it's executed.
But I mean, you know what? I felt like for a little bit there, some filmmakers felt like, oh, this is like a really easy way for me to make this cheap, and that was a botch job. It kind of gave a bad reputation to found footage. Kind of like turned us all off from found footage. But there's some really legit good ones out there that are that way because it was the sound right decision. So yeah, there's some good stuff out there.
Yeah, and it's a really great I think it's just a really good way to have something that feels a little more real, I think. But again, I mean, that's all
movie, right. Which Hannah, the director of Dark Circles, she's in the first VHS. She sprouts wings and kills everyone in a room.
Oh, nice. That's
like
her. All right.
The most memorable part of the first. Yeah. And Mike Nelson, the director of Wrong Turn, the one that I did, he has, I guess, like 2 segments in VHS 85. It's kind of a cult thing with the boat and then the cult. So it's really.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, those are consistently now pretty good.
Yeah, I think I've seen the first couple VHSs, and I've got some of the community members here of my guy Eli, who's hanging out there in the chat. One of the mods, he sent me a few of those VHS movies that I've definitely got to catch up on. I've got a big old stack of movies to watch during spooky season. Are there any movies that you like that are like absolute musts for you in the month of October, or even on Halloween night or something like that, if you're not, out there working?
No, like I always thought there would be, but it's the last 4 years, and it's starting here now. Like for whatever reason, like I get like so busy. So like right now, the past 2 days, I've just been like catching up on movies I haven't seen. So it is it is a month full of horror movies, but it's horror movies I haven't seen, and not necessarily October themed, but like I'm always playing catch up here, and that kind of works out for me. Like the past couple of Halloweens, I've gone to this really cool theater in Massachusetts called Coolidge. They're always playing some good stuff. Last year it was Halloween. It was a sold out crowd, and you'd think it was the funniest movie ever made. I don't know what was on there, but yeah, I mean, like I don't have any set kind of thing, but like I love that people do, and I love that like when we were filming Haunt, like fuck awards, like our goal is to be in people's like seasonal rotations. Like that's I'm envious of all that, like that, just hitting October and having a kind of marathon throughout.
Yeah, that was there was a video, one of my buddies here on YouTube, Frank's Media and Reviews, shout out to Frank's channel. He did like a thing where a bunch of content creators like submitted, these are the movies that get me in the mood for the Halloween spirit. And one of the contributors to the video that he posted had brought up Haunt, and I was like, yeah, that's a damn good one. And really cool to see something recent get mentioned, because I think a lot of us can sort of lean on that nostalgia, coming from the YouTube space for sure, so it's encouraging to see, more recent films. And then like you were saying earlier when we were chatting, like these movies that gain steam like over time, and they just sort of, they gain that following. So I think that's one of the best things about the genre, it's it'll never die, much like Michael Myers. It'll never die. You could say evil dies tonight as much as you want in your movie, and Michael's not dying,
Evil dies tonight. Evil
there
has
it
come
is.
to our town. The only way to defeat evil is for us all to come together. Now we'll go after them in pairs of two, only one at a time.
Exactly. We'll surround him in a semicircle and then just let him beat our asses.
What a silly movie. God bless it.
It does give us some a really great, there are great Michael Myers moments in there, like, and one of the best looking Michael Myers I think that we have gotten in that film. I dig that, the degraded look of the mask and everything like that. I mean, I could talk about Michael Myers forever, though.
It's it's very much of, like you mentioned the Prowler, like when I haven't seen the Prowler for a long time, I'm like, man, the Prowler was cool. It's like, I do like that kind of look. The kills were fantastic. Like there's so much good going on there. And of course, when you watch it, it's long and boring. Like there's more not going on there at all than there is.
Yes.
And Farley Ranger is very bizarre in it. But playing a straight sheriff. Yeah, right. But like that's what Halloween Kills is. Halloween Kills is like filled with cool shit and a cool looking guy. And it's just like so much illogical, stupid stuff.
It takes
surrounding it, but it's a slasher.
Yeah, it takes this really dark, I always say, I'm like, the dark detour that it takes with Tivoli and the mob, I'm like, that's not the kind of darkness I want from my Halloween movie. Like, I get what they're trying to say, but it's sort of like, it's almost like you stop one movie and start another one and then jump back in,
I just keep thinking about they're like, They don't know what he looks like. We've never seen him without his mask. I'm like, he was in a hospital for decades.
They've got to know what he
They don't
looks
have
like.
records of him. His face is on the bar in the background.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Who wrote it?
Why are you going after some guy that looks like the Penguin from Batman Returns?
4
What are you
feet
doing?
tall. It's not him.
But Big John and Little John, I'll defend them forever because they're a lot of fun. I love that shit.
Agreed.
Hell yeah. Well, Damian, thank you so much for kicking it with us. This has been really cool, man. Just sort of shooting the shit. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be, man, looking forward to Dark Circles or whatever it ends up being called. Anyone in the chat that's got a dump truck full of money, you can name the movie. Damian has said it tonight. So, take that one to the bank.
Look who's peeping now.
There you go. Look who's peeping. Oh my God, Sandy. My head's so big. I have this theory about Travolta that his head gets bigger with every bad movie he does, sort of like a Pinocchio situation.
It's got his own plane now. He's got his own plane for just his head.
That could be like Travolta could be in like a Being John Malkovich type of movie that's like Being John Travolta, and his head just gets bigger and bigger. It could be like this weird, bizarre, surrealistic, I don't know, kind of horror movie.
He can have his own, because like Nicolas Cage had that meta Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah,
he's the Malkovich. So I feel like it's Travolta. He's just not weird enough. He's just not like
maybe
weird,
not
have his own weird meta movie, maybe.
And you have to have Oprah in there because there's nothing better than hearing Oprah go, John Travolta, and just yell his name. It's one of my favorite things.
I feel like they've kind of, the distance between their fame and the path they've taken has gone far enough. I don't know if we're getting Oprah for.
Yeah.
I think we got a better shot at Josh Hartnett doing a Halloween show than doing the meta John Travolta movie. But maybe.
Yeah, I'm into that. Either that or The Burning 2 or The Burning remake with Damian Maffei. Let's get that going on.
Whatever Weinstein is still standing and has the rights, call me up. I'll buy him off you.
There it is. And the one that wrote the story, who knows how much longer he's going to be kicking around. He might not even be alive right now, for all we know.
Way too long. It's already been way.
Well, thank you so much, Damian. Really appreciate it. We're going to be keeping an eye out for Sundown and, of course, Dark Circles. Once
Blackeyed Susan. I think it comes out in November.
Blackeyed Susan, November.
All right. Have
a
sweet Blu-ray release because it's Vinegar Syndrome. But it'll streaming. So, penis.
I'll grab that. That'll be the short that I use to advertise for the interview.
I'm trying to just keep saying it to get past it.
Yeah.
So
you've seen him wear a bag on his head. You've seen him dressed as the devil. Now, penis. Black-Eyed Susan with Damian Maffei.
So you can put the bag back on.
Or just put the bag on the. Never mind. I'm not going to say it.
My poor kids. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Damian. Really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your October and spooky season and an awesome rest of 2024. And man, let's keep in touch. Let's bring you back on and watch Black Christmas together or something fun like that. We'll get wild with it.
Anytime. I'm always here to watch Black Christmas. Anytime.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you so much. Take care. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yep. Bye. Holy cow, folks. There it is. Damian Maffei. Whew. And thankfully my sweat doesn't show up too much on the camera because it's very warm in here. And then, I don't know what it is. Sometimes you get a little nervous talking to people or whatever. And with most of my guests here, guys, Damian and I chat through DM and all that kind of fun stuff, but this is the first time we've ever really talked. So it's cool to share that with you guys, of course. I know you guys were very active in the chat and everything, but I like to stay locked in and zeroed in for these interviews, especially if I don't, sometimes if I know the person a little bit better or they're a content creator that I've interacted with or collaborated with before, it's a little bit easier to jump, from the chat and all that stuff. I know I sound like a broken record. I say this every friggin' week. What I need is a co-host that brings up all the chats and all that kind of fun stuff. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, really appreciate Antonis for dropping that $4.99 super chat. Happy birthday, Antonis. I'm so sorry that it took me forever. I saw the super chat, then we started talking more. I forgot. My apologies. But what an awesome time chatting with Damian. I love, picking someone's brain that's in the industry, but also just a big fan, and hearing, a guy that's, relatively unfiltered, just sort of, let his thoughts out there. I said his thoughts, Jamie and Liana, head out of the gutter. But I want to jump back in with what you guys are chatting about here. We got some applause from Robert the Wolfman, a thank you from Raymond. Hell yeah. Yeah, Damian, really chill guy. Thank you so much, Jamie. Really appreciate that. It's that penis talk, Davey. What's happening, Aaron? Liana says Damian was very nice and down to earth. Oh my gosh, yeah, just a regular guy. Pretty awesome. Maniacal Mary, what's happening, Maniacal Mary? I think I saw you jump in here earlier, but I believe this is your first time hanging out in the chat. So thank you so much for jumping in with us. Says being naked in a film, I can't imagine. That's the highest level of vulnerability. And for men, I can only imagine. Yeah, it's we don't even like being naked by ourselves, Maniacal Mary. So yeah. Co-host might not be the worst idea. Holy cow, we got Kate Kiddo in the chat. How are you doing, Kate? The one of the stars of Blackeyed Susan jumping in here for this one. And I believe, Kate, I think I saw your name on another one of the films. Are you in Dark Circles as well? I think I saw your name in there also. I'm going to double check here just because I don't want Mandela effect to take over. Yeah, there you are also. So really looking forward to checking that one out. Not just for the, but for everything else. And of course, your performance. And yeah, Damian does, he is a good egg, I think that so many times, especially like for us horror fans, you hear those stories about people that's how they start their career or whatever. And maybe they don't look back on that time in their lives or that time in their career very fondly. And I love that about Damian, that, it's something that he's done since he was a kid, just making his own Friday the 13th movies with Brian and, and continuing that love. And I think it's even cooler that, once he took a step away from acting, that it was ultimately horror that brought him back. So really appreciate you jumping into the chat here, Kate. Thank you so much. And if you like what you're seeing here, and this goes for everybody, not just Kate Kiddo, but you can like the stream, subscribe if you'd like to, and share this with somebody who you think would really dig what we do here on the channel. We're here every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Late Night with the Davey. I'm going live multiple times a week, and I'm trying to get better at pre-recorded material because I know it does so much better for most channels. So, but I do have some great little news as far as all that goes. I did record a franchise ranking and a movie review today, and hopefully I can get another couple of those done here tomorrow as well. So, Kate, you know what? Hit me up on social media, or maybe I'll find you, because I love having actors and creative types on the show. Really, the people that we bring here, I'm looking for either content creators or like authors, filmmakers, actors, really just have that open conversation, kind of, celebrate what you do and let the audience get to know you a little bit. So really appreciate you dropping in. Yeah, Dean, think about it. Maybe I'll have to hold auditions. I don't know. Thank you so much for chilling out with us tonight, Eli. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time around. That's awesome, Madison. I'm so glad that you came and hung out with us here tonight. I hope you feel very welcomed by everybody. I see that you had a great time, so that's really cool. Yeah, check us out next week. We've got Matt from Mad Blood, who has an amazing YouTube channel that's just blowing up. He covers a lot of great horror content. He's going to be on next Wednesday. And then to close out October on the 20, or is it the 30th? On Halloween Eve, we've got Lee McCoy from Drum Dums will be on, and we're going to be talking about 1988 in horror because, man, there are some banger movies from that year, and I can't wait to chat with Lee about that. I mean, if you guys know Drum Dums, you know that he is super passionate about film, so it'll be great to have that talk with him for sure. Let's see here. What else we got? Yes, indeed. Just creeping. Love it. Yeah, throwing around some welcomes. This is beautiful. I love seeing this. The Death Squad is a good crew. We're a good crew, you know. Absolutely, Damian is a great lad. I can't say it any better than Jamie says it here. Don't forget to slap that like button, silly. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, join the Death Squad, and if you're catching this on replay, leave a comment. Yeah, guys, I can't say it enough. Just leaving a comment on the stream once it's done is huge because YouTube likes to on the live streams once they're done. So if you hang out and just leave a little bit of that comment action down below afterwards, it's greatly appreciated. Sergio says, I got good news for you guys. I'm getting a cutout poster of Michael Myers. Ooh, is it life size? That's what I need. You know, Frank from the Slaughter and Lamb movie podcast, he has all those like life size cardboard cutouts that are so cool. I've just got my cheesy little like, you know, fun Halloween decorations back behind me. I love it. This, I always mess that up. This Michael here is hilarious because he's got like, you can adjust the legs and the arms on it. And sometimes the legs like cross over in a way where it's a funny look for Michael. But that's awesome, Sergio. I hope the cutout poster is everything you desire and more. Yes, thank you for shouting that out, Madison. Yes, please subscribe, make sure you do so. We got Happy Sanjo in the chat. What's happening, Coy? Great to see you, man. Always a pleasure. Let's see here. Antonis says, Davey, since today's my birthday, I have a birthday repeated question for you. What is the best birthday present you got as a kid? Wow, best birthday present. Man, it's like I can remember a couple really special Christmas presents. I'm trying to think of like a really special birthday present. Let's see here. Well, I'm trying to think. I think it was right around my birthday. I was working on the Wizard World Comic Con. And Kate and I were working selling merch for the main con's merch, you know, selling shirts and all that kind of fun stuff. And we were in Vegas, and they were doing the Evil Dead musical at the time in Vegas. And the cast was hanging out at the con, just going around doing a little bit of viral marketing to get people to show up to the show and all that kind of fun stuff. They were all in costume, of course. And Kate like had a little aside with them and set up a little something special. And we went out for dinner that night, and she had gotten us tickets, like, you know, right there. I don't know if we were like front row. We were really damn close, and arranged just a fun little like hangout with the Evil Dead musical cast and crew and everything. And at the intermission, they basically asked who the biggest Evil Dead fan is in the house, and no one said anything. I let it sit out there for about a second, and I was like, right here. And they brought me up, and they're like, all right, we're gonna have you like face our camera guy and face the audience, and everyone's gonna like flip off the camera guy, and we're gonna get a picture with the whole crew. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I'm sitting there getting ready. I can't remember the cameraman's name, but we were all like, F you, whatever your name is, flipping him off. And like as we're saying it and they go to take the picture, they snuck up behind me. I had no idea, and they dumped a giant bucket of blood all over me. So I have all this fake blood. I had an Evil Dead the musical like white shirt on that was just caked in this blood. It was in my hair and just all over my clothes and everything. And that was pretty awesome. I wore it like a badge of honor. I wasn't even like, I was all about it. So that's going to be my answer there, Antonis. And that really wasn't that long ago, 8 or 9 years ago or something like that. But I know as a kid, my parents were always great on my birthday, always getting me fun, Transformers and Ninja Turtle toys and stuff like that for sure. Let's see here. What else do we got? If you're looking for a female host, I'm your Huckleberry, says Jamie Hart. Hell yeah, Jamie. Not against it at all. I think having a co-host could be pretty fun, right? Sometimes I talk about feeling vulnerable. Sometimes, there's no music in the background and it's just me and you guys. I mean, I love it, but it would be kind of nice, especially with the chat and everything. It would be really cool to have some help there for sure. Let's see what else we got. Brett Patrick saying 1988, good year in horror. Yeah, man, you got to tune in on that with that late night with the Davey or for the late night with the Davey with Lee. We're going to be talking all about that. Yeah, Drum Dums is great. He and Wolfman's Got Nards are two of the guys that really inspired me, for years. I know it took forever for me to get my channel going and everything, but those guys have had a big impact on, what I wanted to do with this channel for sure. Raymond says, any breaking news for November guests, Davey? Well, I've got one that's a little bit out of the normal realm for me. A lot of entertainment and a lot of horror content here. But I've been talking with Brandon Perna from That's Good Sports. He is based out of Denver, and he is a very, very successful football YouTuber. He covers the NFL, and he's been doing it for about 12 years. He is extremely entertaining. If you're a football fan, regardless of who you root for, That's Good Sports is well worth your time and subscription. Of course, he does live streams of games, but he also does like a power ranking. I don't know why it took me forever to think about that. A power ranking video every week, a winners and losers of the NFL every week. And he's just really funny. I dig his vibe quite a bit. And he's got somewhere near like, I think like 700,000 subscribers. So when I reached out to him, I didn't even expect an answer, let alone an answer from him. And he actually got back to me the very same day I reached out to him. So we've got it penciled in for the middle of November, and I'm going to reach out here towards the end of October to confirm with him. But that would be huge because he's one of the biggest YouTubers that I watch. I've been watching him for a really long time. And yeah, I would love for that to work out as planned. So that's all I've got right now as far as November guests go. I've just been so, oh gosh, I feel like I've been so behind on everything. This October, just been really busy with all these live streams and then trying to do pre-recorded material on top of it. Really dug myself a hole, guys. I'll tell you what, big lesson learned to do your pre-recorded material in the summer, have it all lined up for October. And then you can just do a few live streams and have all that stuff just ready to go for the pre-recorded. Because I just got around, I had some guy giving me a snarky comment on my Bruce and Dave interview about It's Me, Billy too. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I've just been so dang busy. I didn't get to shoot my review until today. So you guys are going to get that here. I have to edit it, of course, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Kevin, whatever his face was, who I've never seen in the chat, of course, really, sticking it to me there in the comments section. So it's always great though, you guys and then the randoms always keep me honest. So I definitely appreciate that. Lee is the real deal. Absolutely. Let's see here. We got make the Michael Myers cutout 10-1 so he's towering over you. That would be pretty dope. Kind of like the John Carpenter version of Halloween 4, right? Party City has H2 life-size standees. Thank you for the tip, Brett. I've got a Party City not too far from where I live. What's happening, Cecil? We got Cecil Laird from the Horror Show channel hanging out. Oh, man, I've really been digging your reviews lately, Cecil. Whenever I need a break from everything, I just put on one of your vids because you've been very active this spooky season as well. Yeah, really appreciate you stopping in, man. It's been a while. I miss your musk. I know October's crazy for all of us, but we'll get a hang going sometime soon. Absolutely. Let's see here. We got Aaron saying I'm terrible at distinguishing what I got for my birthday from what I got for Christmas. When it comes to childhood memories, it's all a blur. Yeah, one year for Christmas, I wanted an electric guitar. I had been playing acoustic for like a year and a half or something. I wanted an electric. I knew exactly which one I wanted. I think it was like $250. It was nothing too fancy at the time. But my parents were like, it's too much. It's too much. We can't do that. And I was just like, oh man, like that's like the one thing I really want. So I was like, I don't want anything else. I guess just surprise me with whatever else you guys want to get me because I want a guitar. And then my parents, we had this tradition when I was younger where we would go to midnight mass and then we come home and open our presents and we do stockings first. So go to midnight mass, come back. It's about like 1:30ish or so. And my parents do the stockings and I reach into the stocking and there's like a cable, like a 1/4-inch cable to go to an amp and a guitar strap and like some picks. And I was like, well, this is a friggin' cruel joke. What the hell kind of shit is this? I had no idea. I was completely oblivious. All of my siblings knew and everything like that. And my parents brought out the guitar, the exact guitar that I wanted. And it was my A Christmas Story Red Ryder BB gun moment for sure. That's the one that like really stands out to me that I definitely can decipher. But I hear you, Aaron. I mean, a lot of my Christmas memories are like video games and, you know, that getting an NES Advantage and getting Golden Axe 2 on the Sega Genesis and all that kind of stuff. Like I really, you know, remember all that kind of stuff for sure. Let's see what else we got going on here. Aaron says, Davey, have you ever thought about doing a pre-recorded video of you playing an original song from your band days or even something you wrote recently? Or you could even do it live. Yeah, I've thought about that before. Yeah, every now and then I get a wild hair up in me and I pull out the acoustic guitar and scare the shit out of the cats and play some music. The guitar, they are convinced that guitar is trying to kill them. Even if it's just sitting on the couch, they don't want to have anything to do with it. They don't even want to sniff it, nothing like that. But yeah, I have thought about that. I think it would be kind of fun. I'd probably want to rehearse a little bit and all that stuff because I'm a bit of not a perfectionist, but don't want to put something out there if it's not good. But yeah, I mean, if that's something that you guys would want to see, I would certainly be into showing off what I can do on the guitar and vocals there for you. Let's see here. What's in a Name's got a great comment here in the chat. You saying hanging dong tonight is my new favorite phrase now. I'll have to use it sometime. And you know what? What's in a Name? I heard that on, it's not an original, not a Davey Deathray original. I got it from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they're going to see Thunder Gun Express, I believe is the name of the fake movie within that universe. That's the first time that I ever heard it. So yeah, William Peterson hangs dong into Live and Die in LA. What's happening, JD's World? Sending love from my channel. I go by Uncle JD. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Uncle JD. Really appreciate you. I hope that you feel very welcome here in the chat. Same for you. What's in a Name? I believe this is the first time I've seen both of y'all here. So hopefully everyone's making you feel very, very welcome. 27 likes, not bad. And there's 27 people hanging out here. Whoa, it just jumped up to 30 people. Holy cow. For all the new people who just joined the stream, yes, Damian Maffei was on the show. You can always scrub on back and check out that conversation. We talk a little bit about everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. One thing I do want to mention to you guys, or at least bring up, I meant to bring it up, on my previous stream. The Tales from the Crypt episode review that I dropped for Lover Come Hack to Me, episode 5 of season 1. It did really well for my pre-recorded videos. It did so much better than the last few pre-recorded videos I had done. So I just wanted to thank you guys for checking out that vid. And if you shared it, thank you for doing that as well. It's always encouraging because those pre-recorded videos take so much more time. Even if I go for 3 hours on Late Night with the Davey, doing a pre-recorded video between shooting and editing and doing the thumbnail and everything, it's like double that amount of time. So it's always great to see when it gains a little bit of traction and when it's appreciated. So really appreciate you guys for that. John Doe Juggalo. What's happening, John Doe Juggalo? Says, hey, good evening, my friend. Sorry I'm late. Was premiering a video myself. Well, hell yeah. I dig. There's been a few times where I'm like going to sort of do my nightly routine, like, brush my teeth and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I have cooled off on physical media collecting, but I live vicariously through people that go out and shop and get good deals and have really cool stuff to show off. So if you guys enjoy that kind of stuff, go and check out John Doe Juggalo's channel. Very like stripped down and real, and I really appreciate that. I'm a fan of so much different kind of content here on YouTube, and there's something just comforting like listening to you talk about your pickups. I love it. Let's see here. Prince says, so sorry everyone, some sudden passing happened today and I'm mourning. Yeah, I did see that. I'm not familiar with One Direction, Prince, but I know that you're a big fan of pop music, and I did see that happened. And a 31-year-old musician or musical performer, like, to lose somebody like that, it's technically none of us are too young to die. But I do, feel sympathy for all the fans and the family and everything, that it is incredibly young to pass away. And while I'm not a fan, very, very sad news for sure. Let's see here. What else do we got going on? Boom. There it is. Some love for John Doe Juggalo. Hell yeah. What are you saying here, Foong? I ain't going unless he has Jaws 4 versus Sharknado 4. Over to John Doe Juggalo. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Raymond says, I sent my cousin the Movie Punks Lost Boys episode, posted it on my Facebook and tagged her. That's awesome, man. That episode, it was the best episode yet of Movie Punks. So thank you guys so much. I know I made my plea before Foz and I did that episode, because I just feel like that show doesn't get the best viewership, but you guys were awesome during the live, and even some love after the live as well. So that's really cool to see. In fact, I don't know if any of you guys are punk rock fans from like the old 90s Epitaph days, but this band Eye Against Eye, it's so funny. I listened to them years ago. They liked my Movie Punks, they liked my Instagram post of the Movie Punks thumbnail for Lost Boys, which blows my mind, because while I'm a fan of their band, I wasn't even following them on Instagram. I mean, there's plenty of bands and artists that I enjoy that I just don't think to add on Instagram unless they cross my path somehow. But that kind of blew my mind, because I was like, oh, I actually own these guys' music, and here they are liking my Lost Boy post. How the hell did they find this? I have no idea. No idea. Let's see what else we got going on here. Absolutely, man. We got, we have to lift each other up here in this community. And I'm certainly not above, letting people know if I enjoy someone's content. So, of course, man, absolutely. Let's see here. Maniacal Mary says, same, Davey. Or are you talking about with the kid from One Direction? Yeah, it is really sad. And yeah, I mean, anytime somebody that young loses their life, it's tragic no matter what. And I appreciate that you're not sharing the details, Prince. Really, the details are, when something like this happens, what do the details really matter? I mean, of course, there's a certain amount of intrigue there, but ultimately, they don't really matter. It is, it is a sad thing when somebody that young loses their life, regardless of how it happens. But we're not going to go out on a bummer, folks. We are going to hang out for a little bit more. I probably got a good 10 minutes or so left. I don't know. What are you guys feeling? Are you guys feeling saucy? Tomorrow night, Let's see here. I'm going to be a busy guy tomorrow night. Kate is doing some pet sitting for our friends Shauna and Gary. I'm always talking about Shauna and Gary here. They probably get more play than anyone else, especially they get more play than anyone that's not in the chat that I'm always talking about, right? So yeah, she's pet sitting for them, and they live about a half hour away, and they're right next to where Kate works. So she's actually gonna go, crash over at their place tomorrow. So I'm, would never want that to, go to waste, having the house to myself for the night. So I'm gonna, boil up an extra pot of coffee and get to shooting some content that I've been meaning to get out this month. And of course, spending some time editing. So I'm going to be busy tomorrow night, so no streams or anything like that. On Friday, we're doing The House on Haunted Hill, the original, I think it's 1959 classic with Vincent Price. We're going to be doing a little Davey Science Theater on that one, so come hang out with us. We're going to poke a little fun at the movie. Not to say that the movie's bad like they do on Mystery Science Theater, but, it's a public domain movie. You can watch it for free and watch along as we, joke along. For my channel members, I've got, we'll be putting together a live stream here, a live stream watch party for Lover Come Hack to Me, the Tales from the Crypt episode, which I just reviewed last week. So we'll be setting that up. I know I still have to set up a Halloween 2 watch along with you guys. That was what you voted. For some reason on my last stream, I said it was Halloween 5. I have no idea what happened to make me think that it was Halloween 5 that won that poll, because you guys did pick Halloween 2 from 1981. So that should be a really fun one to watch with you guys. I got a lot of love for that movie, as I'm sure you all do as well. So we're going to be planning that. And then Cody Snyder, who's one of our Death Squad mods here on the channel, he's probably on the road right now. He's a truck driver, so he's probably out there on the road. I wish him safe travels, of course, as always. But on the 24th, we are going to be doing a watch party of, I think it's Thursday, the 24th. We're going to be doing a watch party of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, which is a very beloved entry in the franchise. One that I really enjoy, even though I don't like the way Michael looks in it, but a movie that I enjoy nonetheless. So let me catch up with you guys here a little bit. That's a great sentiment right there, Prince. Love each other, everyone. Not every tomorrow is guaranteed. Absolutely, man. That is a healthy reminder, and a sobering reminder as well. Jamie, thank you so much for reminding everyone here to don't forget to slap that like button, silly. Subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell. Join the Death Squad. And if you're catching this on replay, leave a comment. Why not? It's free. Thank you. Won't you? Thank you. Let's see here. I love that movie. Lots of cheesiness, but still so much fun. I'd imagine you're talking about House on Haunted Hill. That is a great one. Absolutely. JD's World. Uncle JD says, I really enjoy what you're doing so much. I might have to dust off the camera and start my own gaming channel again. Thanks so much. This is what I've needed. Hell yeah, man. That's, I I wanted to start a YouTube channel probably back in like 08, 09. And, the only thing that kept me from doing it was just fear of failure and fear of not really knowing how to do it or how to make it work. I finally started this channel about 14 months ago, and it's been, one of the best things I've done for my mental health. And, everyone here hanging out in the chat, everyone in the community has just been so supportive and so sweet, and really, pushed me to keep on going. So absolutely, man. I love playing video games. I'm a huge retro gamer. Like a lot of times I'm playing like Castlevania or Super Mario Brothers 3 or something crazy like that, or like the original Tecmo Bowl before it was even Tecmo Super Bowl. So I really dig watching gaming on YouTube as well. So yeah, dust off that camera. Make sure that controller is like free of any, Dorito dust or anything like that. Clean that sucker off and get cooking again. Why the heck not, right? Let's see here. Antona says, I finally saw Alien Romulus a couple nights ago. Have you seen it yet, Davey? No, I have not. I heard good things. I heard bad things. I heard things in the middle. I'll probably just catch it on streaming. I just, with how expensive it can be to try to watch all these movies and do all this stuff, and what it costs to run the channel. Like StreamYard isn't free, and there's a couple other things with the channel that have to come out of pocket as well. So I'm just not able to see every movie that I want to see. But we're working towards that. We are climbing on up. Let me see here. I just want to check on our sweet little subscriber count. We are at 1,129 subscribers. So we are cooking right along here. And before I forget, I'm going to end the poll. The question was, be honest, did you already eat the bag of candy you bought for the trick-or-treaters? And no, candy is for kids. Won the poll, 54%. Yes, I have no shame. Lost with 45%. So you guys are better people than me. That's for damn sure. Yeah, Vincent Price is awesome. One of the horror greats, right? What a voice. What a voice. What a mustache. And a face that's just so remarkable. Oh, excuse me. I'm so excited about it that I'm just burping uncontrollably. That's how much I love Vincent Price. And I think it's really cool. Like when they did the House on Haunted Hill remake in 99, that Joffrey Rush, is pretty much playing Vincent Price. Like, I can't remember exactly if he does a similar kind of voice, but he's got the same look and everything. And it's amazing casting. I mean, he looks exactly like him. I thought that was a really, really nice touch that they put in there. Let's see here. I'm missing some stuff about video games. Oh my goodness. It's too much. It's too much to keep up on. Raymond says, I might see Terrifier 3 this weekend, and we'll be seeing Longlegs Saturday, plus a bunch of wild horror, of course. Have you seen Longlegs yet, Raymond? I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try to see Terrifier 3. I might try to work that in tomorrow so I can shoot a review for that. Seems like you guys are into, seeing me review that film. Earlier this year in the summer, I covered Terrifier and Terrifier 2. I'm relatively new to the series. I just watched those movies right before I reviewed them. So I've only seen Terrifier 2 twice. I'll probably never watch Terrifier again. It's just not really necessary. But I've heard such amazing things about Terrifier 3. So I think I might have to check it out. You got to compete with a bunch of cuties in costumes streaming games. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever do a gaming channel. I'm sure that if I went live and played a game, like, you guys would hang out with me. I'm not like an awesome expert gamer. I'd probably be so distracted with wanting to chit chat with you guys. It's something that sort of crossed my mind that it would be fun to do just as like a lark. Is that something that anyone says anymore? To do it as a lark and just see, what happens, because you never know. But then, of course, YouTube might be like, dude, do you cover movies or do you cover video games? Like, what's your thing, man? And I don't want them to kick me out of the algorithm. Mental health is immensely important, says Dean. I absolutely agree. It's probably the most important thing for sure. And you guys are talking, I still need to get the Silent Hill 2 remake, waiting on my bank account to cooperate. I've been playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre religiously. Hell yeah. Well, then it's no wonder that you wanted to kick it while we were hanging out with Damian Maffei. That's really awesome, Maniacal Mary. The Silent Hill video games, they exist in this, like the originals came out in this time where I really wasn't playing video games. And even the Resident Evil games, like I played, dabbled with like part 2 a little bit when it was in its original run, but holy shit, it was about 09 or 2010 when I watched a buddy of mine play Resident Evil 4, and that game just blew my mind. I had to play it. It was so cinematic and awesome. I've owned it on multiple platforms. I own the remake, and I've played those games, or that game, both versions, so many times through. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. So maybe I need to jump into Silent Hill and see what that's all about. What's the best, if I'm going to start with Silent Hill, like, not ever having played any of the games, Let me know, Maniacal Mary and Jamie, or anyone else that's played those games. What's the best one for me to start with, you know? And it doesn't have to be the first, just what's the most accessible for a noob. Boom. Uncle JD says, I love you, bro. I gotta run, but you earned my subscription. Definitely. That's awesome to hear, man. I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us. I'm so pumped that you know, your time here in the chat with the Death Squad and myself you know, makes you want to get your thing going again. And I hope to see you here sometime soon. Absolutely. Um yeah, I'm sure, you know, it costs you your time at the very least, and then, you know, the stuff that you buy to make the, you know, to light up the room and all that stuff. But then of course, yeah, StreamYard, man, I didn't get StreamYard did this the crazy hike, like double the amount of money for subscription. For a lot of people, I saw it pop up all over the place, but I got an email from them where they're like, don't worry, we're allowing you to keep the same rate, which is incredible, because I don't know what I would have done, because you know, what the channel brings in doesn't justify the rate that I was seeing some people post. So I had to keep an eye out for that one for sure. Let's see here. Like I said, no trick-or-treaters here, so all the candy goes to me, says Raymond. That's hilarious. The Silent Hill game is 100% worth the purchase. They did an excellent job. So maybe I should start with the Silent Hill 2. Jamie says, Davey, we need to get you playing some modern video games. I promise you can learn them. Learn it. If a 51-year-old lady like me can do it, you can do it. Yeah, I think sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, these games take so much time. Like, I don't know if I have enough time to play them. But if I started like a gaming channel or something like that, Davey Death Plays. How about that? Davey Death Plays. Is it too wild, or should it be Davey Plays or Davey Deathray Plays? Davey Deathray Games. I don't know. Help me out with the title. But certainly, if it could bring in some fundage, you know, then absolutely. Let's see here. Holy cow, we got Damian Maffei jumping into the chat. What's happening, sir? Just couldn't stay away. Now, could you? Says it's been a while since I've seen the House on Haunted Hill remake, but if I remember, Rush was doing a spot on James Woods impression. Oh, is that what he's doing? Is he doing sort of a James Woods from John Carpenter's Vampires? I remember him looking exactly like Vincent Price. It was just incredible. It's been a while since I've seen that movie too, Damien. In fact, you know, I had mentioned Abigail earlier when we were talking, and when I was watching Abigail at the press screening, I was like, this movie kind of reminds me of House on Haunted Hill 99. Like this ragtag group of people that don't really know each other, locked in this location, having to survive the night. It just seemed, you know, so familiar to me. And I know I've heard some people that sort of rip on that remake, but I actually, like, you know, admittedly, it came out when I was like 17 years old. I saw it in the theater, and a lot of the creepy stuff, it really worked for me. The twitchy doctors, like seeing the doctors in the camera. Is it Jeffrey Combs, I think, is playing one of the doctors there? Just all of that, when the doctors and nurses like are on the working on the operating table on whatever they're doing, and they turn and look at is it Bridget Wilson from Mortal Kombat and Billy Madison. That moment is like etched in my mind as one of the creepy moments for sure. Thanks for jumping back in, man. Love the image you've got there, hanging on to that chicken. I could use a different word, but I feel like we've talked about that enough tonight. Antona says, I can't remember why you don't like Terrifier, Davey. What's the reason again? Terrifier 2, totally cool. Because it has a story, and it has characters that have arcs, and you get to know them. That's what I care about. The first Terrifier movie to me is just like a bunch of skits. It's just a bunch of random things that happen. I don't really, there's like no story there. It's just, you know, art just goes from this place to that place, and people get killed. And I don't know. I didn't really see, there was nothing. Honestly, it's like 82 minutes long or however long it is, and it felt like a friggin' eternity. Whereas Terrifier 2 is like 2 hours, 22 minutes or whatever the hell it is, 18 minutes. And it didn't feel as long as the original Terrifier, because it actually felt like a real film. Yeah. Raymond has not seen Longlegs yet. I hope you dig it, man. I really enjoyed that one, but of course, hearing all the hype can sort of, inflate those expectations. But I hope you dig what you see. Boom, there it is. He was channeling James Woods. I never thought of that before. Now I've got to rewatch this movie because it's been so damn long. So I've got to see if it's on any of the streaming services so I can check it out. Because I am a James Woods fan. I do. I love his performances, and I even think as just a dude, like, I know maybe he doesn't have the most popular political opinions or whatever, but I admire the fact that somebody is willing to sort of swim upstream in that regard and put themselves out there, knowing I don't even know if it's a risk at this point, as far as his career goes. But I certainly appreciate that he, goes against the grain in that regard as well. Currently playing through the Blair Witch game. Didn't even know they had a game. Didn't even know there was a Blair Witch game. Holy cow. I've seen the first Silent Hill movie. I don't think I ever saw the remake. Sienna is one of the best final girls. Really great character. And I've heard it gets even better in Terrifier 3. So I'll have to check it out and see for myself. And yeah, she seems like a really sweet person. Lauren Lavera, right? Never met her myself, but she seems like an absolute doll. And you gotta love these performers that embrace the literal role that they take on, but also embrace going out there in public as themselves and embrace us as a community for sure. Let's see here what we got going on. Yeah, Damian is a good dude, says Maniacal Mary. I'm a Johnny Main, coincidentally. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Ooh, I have a list. Depends. Are you looking for single player story or multiplayer online? Ooh, you guys are getting that video game talk going. I love it. Jamie thinks I should start with Until Dawn on the PS4. It's the perfect way to ease me into modern gameplay. All right. Hell yeah. StreamYard is like $25 a month. Canva is about $20 a month for editing. Yeah, and I use DaVinci Resolve for editing, Dean, which is free. So it's great. You just have to teach yourself how to use everything. I have an Adobe package that I also use, and that's so I can do, other things with Photoshop and all that. And it comes with Premiere, but I've learned Resolve. And so I'm just sort of like, I'll just stick with Resolve. It's free, Let's see here. Also got the Until Dawn remake, but I'm not as impressed with that one as I am with Silent Hills 2's remake. All right. Damien says, if you stream Texas Chainsaw, I'll play with you. We can embarrass ourselves. Although I'm quite good, but I got you, boo. I appreciate that, Damien. Yeah, we'll have to get that going, man. That would be fun. We could be stream buddies. How about it? Yeah, speaking of gun video games and embarrassing yourself, that Friday the 13th game, absolutely love that game so much. But man, like when it was still online and everything, I would jump on and play games. I would get destroyed immediately. I was like the worst of the worst. But then it was great because once my character's dead, I get to watch like a little 5 to 10 minute mini movie of Friday the 13th. And then anytime I was Jason, like whenever I got picked to be Jason, everyone kicked my ass and escaped. I'm just so old now that when I try to play these modern games, I just don't have the skills. I mean, and honestly, like even in my most favorite game of all time, the original Castlevania from the Nintendo, when I can get to Dracula, and then it's basically like what would happen if I actually tried to fight Dracula in real life. I get in a good couple hits and then die almost immediately. So I guess it's fitting. Have a great rest of your night, DA. Really appreciate you hanging out with us this evening. And of course, being a channel member, really appreciate you. Let's see here. Oh, how did I miss that comment? I need my glasses. Welcome to the chat, Damian Maffei. The remake actually traumatized me the first time I saw it. On House on Haunted Hill 99. Yeah, absolutely. Raymond, you know what? Maybe I just need to rewatch it then. Like you guys know about me, I'm a big rewatcher. I love diving back into movies, seeing what I missed the first time. And especially, you know, maybe what I need to do is have a little chat, or maybe even just watch Cody Leach's review of Abigail, you know, again, just to sort of see what he, you know, really loved about the movie. Because sometimes hearing somebody else's thoughts about a film can inform my, maybe not inform my opinion, but give me a different, little bit of a different perspective when I go back to the film and rewatch it. I mean, you guys have heard me say that about George Romero's Land of the Dead. I'm a massive George Romero fan, but when I saw that movie in the theater at the Cinerama in Hollywood, it just sort of, it didn't do much for me. And then I talked with one of my buddies that I went to college with back then, well, way back in Juneau, and he was a huge Romero fan too. And he, man, he convinced me. He was like, "No, you're missing this and you're missing that, and they do this because of this." And he had all of these really great points where I was like, "Oh shit, dude, I need to go back and watch that movie." And I love it more and more every single time I watch it. So maybe I need to give it another go. And to be clear, I think Abigail is just fine. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think there's something with radio silence, and I know you guys are probably like tired of me saying this. There's something with radio silence where it's like I get right to the point where I think it's like it's pretty good, it's okay, it's fine, and then the last act of their movies like totally lose me. And I've not seen every single one of their films. I think I still need to see Ready or Not. But I've seen Abigail and I've seen their 2 Scream movies, and yeah, I just the first 2/3 really work for me, and then they sort of lose me. But definitely a well-made movie, good performances. You know, Dan Stevens, Melissa Barrera, it's good stuff. And the explosions of blood, like some of it reminded me of like From Dusk Till Dawn or like Evil Dead 2. So there's a lot of fun to be had for sure. Let's see here. Maniacal Mary says, "Yep, same Davey. Okay, I'm not alone. Love the movie, but oh man, some of those visual moments got me." Yeah, and especially like I'm going back to 17-year-old me thinking about that, right? So it's like who knows what I would think of it now if I watched it. I know all those movies from the late 90s have some, you know, pretty cringy little CG moments and stuff like that. You know, unless you were like a giant budget movie back then, the CG was a little suspect. But again, I can sort of put myself in that time frame and not really worry too much about all of that kind of stuff. Let's see what else we got going on here. My voice is starting to sort of shut down. I had a little bit of a production meeting with Daniello from Lux Media about Gotham Noir. So we were talking before I came here on the stream, and then you guys know that with my day job, I'm on the phone almost all day. So yeah, my voice is starting to go if you can't tell already. And boom, we got Eli back. Holy cow, what the heck happened? Let's see here. Maniacal Mary says, Damian, I have a feeling I know the answer, but are you a family man or family main or victim main? Ooh. That is, so you get to pick in the Texas Chainsaw. I haven't played it because there's so many modern games. I haven't even jumped into that one yet. But if it's available on PS4, which I do have, then I've got to get it. And man, if it's on Switch, then absolutely I'm jumping into it for sure. Let's see here. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Lollipop Chainsaw needs a remaster. That one's underrated. Man, my buddy Chad Armstrong, who goes by, it used to be Shish Kebab back in the mid 90s. You play Marathon. That was his nickname, was Shish Kebab, but now he just goes by Shishka. I don't know if he's still working, but he started working on, I think it was Halo 2. Where he was like building levels and everything. And then he was one of the main developers on Lollipop Chainsaw. Yeah, my buddy Chad Armstrong played bass in my very first band. We listened to Face together. And Chad is a, you know, very brilliant, successful guy. And judging by everything I see on Instagram, it looks like he might even be, you know, retired and just surfing and camping. And he just recently got married. So Chad, I know you may not be watching right now, but congratulations. And you're getting some love for one of your games down here, which is really, really cool to see. Yeah, I would love to play that game too. Yeah. I did hear this news, Necro, that Ready or Not's getting a sequel. Yeah. I think I've heard from a lot of people have told me that's their best movie. Like out of the four that I've mentioned, most people have told me that's the best one. So yeah, I got to check it out. And I think Samara Weaving's really good. I mean, she's one of my favorite parts about Scream 6. It's a damn shame she gets, knocked off so quickly, but also at the same time, I respect when the Scream movies do that. It's kind of the Scream thing. And now we've come full circle with bad CGI, as most CGI artists are rushed. Yeah, rushed, and usually it's done as like a to cut corners. So yeah, it's my brother works in does 3D matte painting and stuff like that, and now matte painting also has some effects work worked into it as well. And there are instances where he's been on jobs where they're like, "Hey, the movie's coming out in 2 weeks. We need you to do this shot." Like when he worked on Super 8 way back when, it was something where I think the movie was in theaters like a couple weeks after he had done his work. So sometimes they don't even know until like almost 0 hour. So pretty crazy stuff. There we go. Getting some more video game talk. Looks like I finally caught up. Star Court Food Court, welcome back to the channel. Great to see you hanging out. We're wrapping up for the evening right now, but if you scrub on back, you can check out our very lively discussion with Damian Maffei. It was a total blast hanging out with Damian tonight. Quite the character. And man, I'll just say it again. It's always cool to hang out with somebody that's in the creative world and does that for a living. But the fact that Damian is a true blue horror fan makes it even cooler. So that was pretty damn fun. Ready or Not is their best movie, in my opinion, says Star Court. All right. Are you going to get the new Thanksgiving 4K? I'm one of those guys that ran out and got it right when it came out on Blu-ray because I'm so like, I love that movie so much. It gave me everything that I wanted, right? I didn't expect Thanksgiving to reinvent the wheel. I wanted Thanksgiving to be everything the trailer showed me it would be, which is Eli Roth showing us a masterclass in how to make a whodunit revenge slasher a la My Bloody Valentine or The Prowler, something like that. Or even to go back to one of the movies we mentioned multiple times this evening with Damian, The Burning, something that felt like it was from another time with a little bit of a modern touch. But I don't know if I'll be getting the 4K. I might just, I would imagine at some point when Eli wraps up this trilogy, I'm guessing it's only going to be 3 movies. And I kind of hope they just do like 3 solid movies because I love that the first one's revenge slasher, revenge whodunit. Now that we know who John Carver is, we can get a traditional slasher where it's just a straight up sequel. And then maybe we get some sort of like copycat kind of thing in the third one. I think that would be like a perfect slasher trilogy. So I'll probably hold off and get like a box set or something like that. I just, to go back to when Antonis was asking if I had seen Alien Romulus. I just don't have money for everything in the world that I would love to have. Ideally, in a perfect world, of course, I would pick up Thanksgiving on 4K. But I've got it on Blu-ray for now, and that'll do just fine. That'll do just fine. Yep, folks, please don't forget to slap that like button, silly. Subscribe to the channel, click that bell, join the Death Squad, and if you're catching this on the replay, leave a comment. Hell yeah. Let's see here. I think we are just about to wrap things up. Thanksgiving opening night was such a fun theater experience. Ready to rewatch it Thanksgiving night. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to catch it at a press screening, and then it was like a few days later, I took Kate and we went on opening night Star Court. So yeah, that was it was really fun. It wasn't a packed theater at the spot that we went and watched it. Excuse me, but everyone that was there was like so into it, having a total blast and laughing and exclaiming and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think Thanksgiving, I know a lot of people are sort of like, yeah, Thanksgiving's fine. I'm one of those people where I'm like, I think it's the best original slasher that we've seen since Scream, since the first Scream. I mean, as far as like a brand new character, yeah, I'm gonna put it right there. And I'm not even the biggest Eli Roth fan as far as like, I haven't watched all of his movies. I've seen a few. I think that out of everything that he's done, Thanksgiving to me is just, it's like he twisted all the dials on the amp like exactly how I wanted them. He gave me a different implement of destruction every time, a really nice look for the killer that could become iconic and certainly, you know, sears its image into your mind as you're watching the film, and some really, I think, likable characters. I think the chemistry of the cast was phenomenal in Thanksgiving. And what's her face? Nell Verloc, I believe is her name, the lead. I've never seen her in anything before. I think she has a really cool look, and I think she performs really well. Addison Rae, like, I didn't know anything about her. I found out after watching the movie that she, you know, got famous on TikTok or something like that. I don't know. I guess she is a musical artist and a model. But I'll say this, man, like, she convinced me in that movie that she's an actress. Like, not knowing her at all, I wouldn't have been if you asked me who was the musician or who was like the odd person out, I definitely wouldn't have picked her. And yeah, I could talk about Thanksgiving all night, and I'll talk about it quite a bit in November. Thank you so much for sharing that there for John Doe Juggalo, Jamie. Really appreciate you. Smile too. Yeah, I've been hearing good things about that for sure. I agree with that. Davey watched Terrifier 1 and 2 recently. Wasn't for me, but to each their own. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see here. I think I'm all caught up. Yeah, I think Smile 2 comes out tomorrow night, I guess, technically. Cecil from the Horror Show channel, who dropped in earlier, he just put out a review, so you guys can go check it out. And yeah, I think it's been getting mostly positive marks so far. Yeah, I was oh yeah, she was in He's All That. I found that out after the fact because I'm a huge Rachel Lee Cook fan, and I think she produced and was in the, you know, Legacy sequel. I guess you can just kind of call it a remake at that point of She's All That. Yeah, you know, these people that want to become actors and actresses, like, sometimes you can tell when they put in the work, and you got to give it up to them. You know, maybe they start out being in something where they're not very good. Maybe they haven't had much training, or, you know, not everyone's a natural talent. And I think even the people that are naturally talented when it comes to the arts still need like lessons and training and classes and all that kind of stuff. So it is really cool to see when somebody takes that seriously. You know, I've seen her on Instagram. I'm sure she could just make a living as a model and all that, and being an influencer and all that stuff. So I applaud somebody that takes a little bit more of a difficult route and says, no, you know what? Like, I actually want to do this thing, and I'm going to get better at it and earn it. I really dig that. And I can't remember. Does she make it out? I think she's alive. Is she alive at the end of Thanksgiving? I think she is. I don't know. It's been a little bit. I kind of been wanting to watch it, but I'm like, I might as well wait until November. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for me here tonight. We are at about 2 hours, 45 minutes. It's almost 10 o'clock out here in the beautiful Phoenix desert, the West Valley of Phoenix. Really appreciate you guys for hanging out. Everyone that kicked it in the chat. I can't believe it. There's still 26 people hanging out in this room. Really got to give it up for our guest tonight, Damian Maffei. Go check him out. Blackeyed Susan's going to be coming out, I believe, next month, he had said, on streaming. And Vinegar Syndrome will be releasing a physical copy of the film as well. I would imagine we can look forward to Sundown coming out maybe early next year. And of course, Dark Circles, or whatever Dark Circles ends up being called, they're just wrapping up the post-production there. So follow Damian over on Instagram to get all those updates on the film projects that he's working on. And want to thank Kate Kiddo for jumping into the chat as well. Kate, we're looking forward to seeing Blackeyed Susan and checking you out in Dark Circles also. And man, all the subscribers, shit, even if you just came and hung out and you're not a subscriber, thank you so much. But think about it, because according to my metrics on YouTube, about 40% of the viewership here are not subscribed. Did you guys know that? So that's quite shocking. So think about giving us a sub. Really appreciate the channel members. You guys are great. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, you can get going for as little as 99 cents a month. You get exclusive streams where we just kick it, more intimate hangouts with me, We do live watch parties together, and we're just sort of, as the membership ramps up, we're going to be ramping up more exclusive content. Yeah, guys, really appreciate you for hanging out here tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment after the fact. I'm going to take the day off from streaming tomorrow so I can work on some editing and some shooting, but I'll be back on Friday for House on Haunted Hill 1959. We're doing a Davey Science Theater 3000 of that one, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you guys again. Love you guys so much. Thank you for hanging out. You guys fuel everything we do here at the channel, and I'm just so grateful for the community. Really appreciate you all. I'll see you next time, and until then, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.